What's up guys, Chaos Shinobi here. This is What If Naruto is a Demon Nin. Chapter 1. It was a scene witnessed many times before. A family of ninja in their clan's training ground, the mother, Kushina, and her children Mito and Menma, all red-headed wonders. The father Minato, a sunshine blonde. The family celebrating after the son finally completed a relatively hard jutsu for his age. This scene would have been perfect if not for the forgotten onlooker witnessing it. Naruto, the forgotten black sheep of the family, bitterly looked on from his bedroom window at the display. Scoffing, he wrote a note, stuck it on his door, and left the house. Naruto had given up on his parent training him. He was 8 now. He'd been asking to train with them for 4 years now. It always went the same way. He would ask to join his siblings, his parents would say later, which never came. He would push the issue, they would get headaches, then he would be sent to his room. So Naruto trained on his own now, stealing scrolls and books from his parents' library and teaching himself. He had just reached his favorite training field in the village. He laid down on the grass and watched the clouds, to calm down, angry that his parents paid more attention to his siblings than to him. Unbeknownst to him, of the triplets, his siblings held the yin and yang half of the nine-tailed fox. He was just told his siblings had a condition that made it so they had a harder time than Inuzumaki's already hard time controlling chakra, so they needed the extra time. At first he bought that, but as the years went on, what his parents said and his experiences didn't line up. If it were only ninjutsu training it would be one thing, or even just training, but it wasn't. It was everything. All his toys were second-hand, all his clothes, while new, were copies of what Menma asked for. He hated the dark red jackets he got. They couldn't even get him his favorite orange color. If he and his siblings got in a fight, he was somehow punished even if he didn't start it. Naruto wasn't asked to join in on family outings and events. He wasn't outright barred, but often left behind and never invited. If Naruto was home late enough, coming home, he was locked out by accident. Just like when his meals were skipped, it was all an accident. Sure, and his parents' convenient headaches whenever Naruto tried to train, or get fair treatment or their attention, were so absolutely real. And Hashirama delivers presents to all the good little girls and boy every Rin festival. Those headaches bothered Naruto though, almost scared him. Because of the possibility they were real, then just him being around his parents strained them. Naruto thought back to those times, when he would insist on trying to be part of the family, or that he didn't pull that prank that had Mito smirking. His parents would start out with an outright refusal or dismissal of him, and then he would fight back, arguing his point. Slowly over the course of the argument, his parents would start rubbing their temples or making small grunt of pain. Then silently the pain would seem to explode, with his parents grasping their headband, moaning. Then they would look at Naruto either with a determined gaze as if they were leading a battle where they would agree with Naruto, or an ice-cold, almost emotionless gaze, and simply cast him aside. Naruto got up. He didn't feel like training anymore. He headed towards the Sarutobi woods at the perimeter of the village. He was behind his siblings, of course, he knew that. While most things in a ninja's career can be self-taught, everything is taught better with a teacher. Take Taijutsu for example. While you can learn stances, punches, kicks, and katas out of a scroll, without the trained eyes of a master, you are bound to create bad habits and make mistakes that you wouldn't even notice. And that is death for a ninja. So Naruto just focuses on what he knows from eavesdropping on his siblings' lessons, what is best to learn: no teacher, chakra control, sensory and Fuinjutsu theory. If he has time, Naruto then tries to practice some ninjutsu and taijutsu. Now that he was in the academy, it had a small basis to learn. Secretly from his parents' scrolls he learned 2E rank techniques, the transformation and replacement jutsu. Bread and butter for any ninja, that's why they learn it at the academy. 2C rank, wind and water bullets, the only thing he could do without much help. The only B rank ninjutsu he learned was the shadow clone jutsu, because he knows he will never be able to do a normal clone. His siblings could do all that and more. When they performed their jutsu, they were more effective with less chakra. It made Naruto bitter. He sighed. It was Saturday, tomorrow was Sunday, then school would start again. The academy was a blessing and a curse. Blessing because he was able to learn and practice what his parents didn't teach him, a curse because of the rivalries and attention it brought on him. On the first day of school tried to go all out, but compared to his siblings he was left in the dust. However, Menma, upon seeing Naruto's self-taught ninjutsu, decided they were rivals, blurting out how he wasn't taught by his parents and how cool it was he learned those techniques by himself. Earning in praise from other clan head and kids watching him, then challenged him to a fight. Naruto agreed, losing but not by much. Impressive for a kid with no formal training and no taijutsu knowledge. Soon other clan and non-clan ninja kids challenged him, some wanting to see his skill, others thinking it would be an easy win on Akage's kid for bragging rights. Naruto stopped accepting challenges soon after because they happened daily, and with almost no regard for his own condition, and refused any attempts at rivalry with an icy venom, even his brothers. Most civilian kids in the Ninja Academy were too afraid to challenge him though. They did something worse, crowding around him as fans and minions, fake friends that used him for status or their own reasons. Naruto saw through that and avoided them. Getting angrier, he decided to run through the trees, trying to get his mind off his parents and siblings for now. Reaching the end of the woods, Naruto found the wooden perimeter of the village and the small hole covered up by rotting wood. A security issue no one noticed. Peeling off the wooden barriers, Naruto entered the forest outside the village. He started walking down the woodlands, trying to calm himself. Naruto wandered deeper and deeper into the forest. He knew his parents wouldn't search for him until class started next week. That's why he left the note. He tested these things out before. If he left without saying anything, he could come back tomorrow and his parents wouldn't notice. If he left a note on his door in the kitchen, he could leave for about a weekend without his parents caring. He did lots of these tests before to push his boundaries to see what could make his parents care. He used to be a top mark student, like his siblings. In the first year of Ninja Academy, he put effort in to take notes and be an active part of class. All three triplets came home with perfect marks. His siblings got enthusiastic praise. He got a "That's nice, I'm proud of you." Ironically, if he didn't see how they got treated, he would have been overcome with joy. But he did. So he was hurt. The next school year he failed, purposely leaving blank tests and purposely missing targets and stepping out of the ring in fights. The only reaction he got was annoyed dismissal and some rude remarks instead of the passive one before. Like he didn't go from top marks down to as close to a 0% grade as you could get in 1 year. Then he tried going for half marks, answering only half the questions and missing only half targets. He got the same result from his parents and a lot of mother henning from Iruka-sensei. He laughed. He studied harder to fail and get half right than to pass. But the result, that mattered to him, was the same. This year it was the Snydra Mark prank Cold War. In order to get attention from his parents, he started making pranks around their comments. One example was when he had to do a report on the Hokage but handed a blank one. Minato snarked, "Don't know anything about the leader of your own village?" Then in response Naruto painted the Hokage. He didn't just deface it like a normal prank. After witnessing what he did, some considered it a tribute and almost wanted to make it permanent. On Hashirama and his father's face he painted their signature sage modes. Under Tobirama he listed all the jutsu he created. Under Hiruzen he listed some major battles he fought in and led. It was this public display that clued in the adults into what was going on. Naruto was seeking his parents' attention. The clan heads, after witnessing the prank, sadly shook their heads, for they didn't think he would get it. For ninja are a superstitious lot. And due to the events of Naruto and his siblings' birth, they believe that it was stolen from him forever. For when Naruto and his siblings were born, a masked man claiming to be Madara Uchiha attacked and released the nine-tails sealed within Kushina. This in order to seal the beast. Minato was going to sacrifice his own life. But Hiruzen had stepped in, using the Reaper Death Seal to split the fox and seal it within his siblings. In Minato's stead, because of the fact that Minato was halfway through the hand seals to summon the Shinigami, the villagers, including the shinobi and even Minato and Kushina themselves, thought that they were cursed by the Shinigami. Because a mortal does not even attempt to summon a god with no consequence. In order to not shatter the young children's heart, and so they didn't blame themselves, this was kept a secret only to the Shinobi Council. The truth was quite different though. If anyone knew the truth, a certain mummy and snake would be dead in the most brutal of ways. For after the fox was sealed, Kushina and Minato were being treated in a hospital. During this time, as soon as Danzo saw Hiruzen had sacrificed himself, he was emboldened to do many things he would have not done out of respect for his fallen friend. Respect he did not have for Minato. Danzo, deciding to use one of many plans he had to take advantage of any tragedy that may have occurred, had his root ninja infiltrate the hospital as medical nin. One approached the fourth Hokage with a scroll containing Kisho Tensei, the one's own life reincarnation jutsu stolen from Suno on Danzo's orders. The disguised root agent took advantage of Minato's grief and offered to perform it on his dying wife. Minato agreed, giving the doctor and a small team access to an unconscious, dying Kushina. Once there, the root doctors performed the technique while also put a forbidden seal on the woman. This seal was created by Orochimaru and given to Danzo in their partnership. The seal was known as the Hidden Mind Override Seal, a predecessor to both the Cursed Heaven and Earth seals and also the Living Corpse Reincarnation Jutsu. It works by infusing part of a donor's, it doesn't have to be the one who performs the jutsu, DNA and chakra into the seal, then placing the seal on a victim. The seal will slowly override the thought process and mind of the victim till it becomes more similar if not identical to that of the donors. It also did not show up as a visible seal. It was completely invisible and almost undetectable unless it came into contact with chakra from the donors or the cloaking components of the seal were destroyed. This seal was next put on Minato when he was knocked unconscious by the root doctors offering him a spiked drink. Most thought it was the stress of the night that made him pass out. Fortunately for the village, Minato and Kushina were strong enough to resist the effects of the seal though effort, thinking they were resisting a curse of a god of the dead. Although Naruto did not see it, this seal also affected Minato and Kushina at work. When in the office's Hokage and Uzumaki clan head, the seal was too weak to ever fully take control of the two parents, but they were constantly fighting off its personality warping effects, giving them migraines. Why did this seal not affect how they treated Menma and Mito? Simple, it did, although in different ways. The training the two kids got was extremely rough. Before they entered the academy, the two siblings had daily 10-hour training sessions that made Might Guys look like a daycare. Carefully crafted in such a way to look harmless and fun to outsider, it was brutal to those who had to go through it. Now that the children were in the academy, the training was 5 hours on school days and the full 10 on off days. Shaking his head from the thoughts, why can't I get my mind off my family today? Naruto reached a three-way fork in the road. The leftmost path led to the main road onto the Land of Fire. The rightmost path led to another fork in the road where Naruto was going to head. With his secret tree house by a grotto on one path and an abandoned training ground on the other, but Naruto felt pulled to the center path as if someone was calling him. While he didn't hear any words, his head filled with a voice, I feel your pain too, come to me and I will help you. Hesitantly Naruto walked down the center path. As he walked, the feeling was getting stronger with every step, the calling. He didn't know why he walked down this path. All that was down there was an abandoned temple, one that had not seen use since the Warring States period. Naruto tried to use his sensory abilities to see what was calling him. He felt 16 powerful energies flowing from the shrine in its dilapidated state. As he passed through the torii gates and climbed the stairs to the shrine, Naruto, he weren't practically estranged from his siblings. He would think about showing this place to them. The three used to have a great relationship with each other, Naruto and his younger siblings, the Fire Triplets. They would go anywhere together and they always had each other's backs. Then the training started. At 4 years old, for 10 hours each day, Naruto was left alone while his mother and father doted on his siblings every single day. At first he was okay with it. They have a condition, they need a head start, he'll join them soon. But he never did. Days, weeks, months he waited, he never joined them, he was never allowed. It hurt, but he was never bitter about it. He still took every chance he got to be around his siblings. Then the year turned and his birthday came. Mito and Menma got shiny new toys, training shuriken and kunai, fluffy plushies of frogs and foxes, slugs and tanku. He recognized all his presents from the bins in the attic. When the clan heads brought toys for everyone, they all shiny new gifts. But if the Kyuubi duo wanted something of Naruto's, he was forced to share. When asked if he had to share, his parents stayed silent. He didn't want to play anymore that night. Then Mito blamed a prank on him. Mito was the only one with a paint set, but of course his parents believed her. He gave his sister some space for a whole day. Then Naruto got into a fight with Menma. He was all beaten and bruised. Menma only won. Naruto was scolded. He didn't even start punching. He avoided his brother for a week. Soon Naruto barely was around his siblings outside of school, and even then they didn't talk much in it. Naruto avoided them as much as he could, even if that meant he didn't really get to talk with the other kids. He only had acquaintances, not any true friends. His siblings took Naruto's avoidance differently. Menma refused to accept it at first, trying to force Naruto to hang out with him and his sister. He outright refused every time. This only stopped when Menma tried challenging Naruto to a fight when his parents weren't home. Naruto, let's have a duel. If I win, you have to hang out with me and Mito for all day at school tomorrow. You and Mito are already Tosan and Kasan's favorites. Stop trying to prove you better than me, you don't have to, Naruto said, not even looking up from his book. Wah. Nar. That not what this is, that's not even tr, Menma tried to exclaim before Naruto got up, grabbed his shoulder and pulled him close. How many times have they forgotten to feed you dinner? Naruto whispered through gritted teeth. Menma sat there stunned. Naruto just left the house and did not return until the next morning. After then Menma tried talking to Jiraiya about what Naruto said. Afterwards he said to give Naruto some space, but never stopped trying. Let Naruto know he was there for him, that his family loved him and he will come around eventually. Mito on the other hand thought Naruto was being a spoiled child, and started treating him like a child, constantly criticizing him for everything and telling him to grow up. When Naruto tried to flunk for a year, she would always tell the teachers and parents how much he actually studied and trained, even showing them proof in the form of video and photos. She was mad when the teachers couldn't do anything and was shocked by how much her parents didn't seem to care. This stopped after she witnessed Naruto come home carried by an Anbu, beaten up and half asleep in the afternoon one winter day. He defended a Hyuga child from some bullies but they beat him up because he had no taijutsu skills and didn't want to seriously hurt them with his winged bullets, the only jutsu he knew at the time. His parent just casually sent the dog-masked Anbu away after he put the child in his bed. Naruto came to her bedroom later that night and told her, "Do I need to grow up now?" She asked Tsunade about this and all she could say was, "You already know about your special circumstances, your parents have their own kid, they still love the blonde but they have trouble showing it." Despite resenting his siblings, he still loved them both. Knowing Mita loved music, he got her a shamisen, and knowing Menma loved swords, got him his first one. He was going to give them to his sibling this year. He saved up all his money. But that didn't mean he was going to start allowing them back in his life just yet. It hurt too much. It hurt seeing his parents with his siblings and not him. He also didn't want to have the conversation with them that he knew need to happen. He knew they were jealous of his freedom. Morons. A parent's love is more important than freedom. He shook his head one last time. His thoughts were cut short as he passed through the last gate. What he saw shook him into silence. Chapter 2. Naruto looked on in stunned silence. Gone was the dilapidated ruin of the present, and in its place was a pristine, beautiful temple that looked brand new. "What? Where am I?" A black-haired shrine maiden that looked around 20 responded, walking into view. "The same place you were before, the forgotten Binaru clan temple." Naruto looked at the work of art behind her and squinted. The shrine maiden giggled. He, I can understand your confusion, young one. This is what the temple looked like in all its glory." Naruto hummed softly as he pictured the dilapidated temple in his mind. The cracked and often missing floor tiles leading up to the faded wooden building, cracks and holes all over, a faded red frame outlining the stained formerly white body of once-used clan temple. This place looked eerily similar despite being in prime condition. "No. It can be. But it is," he stupidly muttered. The shrine maiden nodded. "But how? This place hasn't seen use since the Warring Clan era," Naruto exclaimed. "How do you think?" She smiled. "Time no, that's stupid." Naruto started, then decided to dispel whatever genjutsu was on him. The maiden left as Naruto opened his eyes to the same location. No, it's not time travel or a genjutsu. It's a different kind of projection, almost like a shared mindscape. Naruto's eye widened. He knew what a mindscape was, a person's mental world within their very own consciousness constructed from the user's thoughts, memories, imagination, and dreams. But that was just it. It was a personal world. If it were a shared mindscape, that meant, "Yes, child, there are multiple people sealed within this temple." Naruto frowned. He could guess how this was going to go. "You want me to unseal you?" The shrine maiden shook her head. "The way this seal works is that only one person can release one sealed person. And as the person who created this seal, I must go last. I want you to release one of others for me, and bring others to do the same." Naruto was guarded to say the least. "There are many questions I have to ask first." "Yes." Shrine maiden agreed, "But let's introduce ourselves to you first, and we can tell each other our stories." The two walked towards the temple. "Before I let you inside, Naruto, I need to warn you, the others. Well, they are abnormal, by your standards, friendly, and they won't harm you, loyal to the end, but it's okay, I don't judge people for their bloodlines," Naruto said, thinking back to that Hyuga girl bullied for her eyes. "Well, it's not quite bloodlines, but thank you. I trust you to keep an open mind." With that, the shrine maiden opened the door and guided Naruto through the temple, giving a brief description of each room, until they got to what seemed to be a meal hall, with one large table to eat at. "So where are the others since they are sealed here? Are they trapped in different rooms?" Naruto asked. "No, the prisoners can move about this temple. They are simply observing you right now. They want to make sure you are trustworthy before they show themselves." "A mutual earning of trust, I see." The shrine maiden cocked her eyebrow. Naruto stared blankly at her. "I agreed to keep an open mind, but there are many things suspicious about this whole situation. You not telling me your name, for one." Yes, I can see how being so closed off might make you distrustful. I simply wanted to introduce you to us all together, but if it will build your faith in us, my name is Himiko Binaru of the Binaru clan." "Binaru? The Vinyl clan? I haven't heard of you before." "We were a powerful clan in the time you called the Warring States era, I think it was. But due to a civil war within the clan, we lost a lot of power. I cannot say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up wiping ourselves out and then were lost to history," Himiko said solemnly. "Did that civil war have anything to do with your sealing?" Naruto asked, trying to distract the shrine maiden. "Yes," Himiko said, "it did. Let me tell your story from the beginning. Tell me, child, what do you know of summoning jutsu?" "You make a contract with talking animals by writing your name in a scroll in blood. And then if you need help, you use a drop of blood and you can summon them." "Yes, child. Do you know where summons come from?" "My name's Naruto, by the way. I know the frogs come from Mount Myaboku." "Okay, Naruto, you are correct about the frogs. What I'm trying to say is that most normal summons a ninja would use come from this world. Naruto cocked an eyebrow. Our clan used a different type of summon. One from a different world, I'm guessing? The blonde didn't know if he could believe it what he was hearing right now. Worlds, Himiko breathed. Long ago our clan had discovered a way to view into different worlds. According to our clan's lore, we were trying to master a type of scrying jutsu, when we saw into many other universes. With this, Himiko made a half-ram hand sign. With it the mess hall changed to a giant circular room, with many mirrors covering the walls and a huge one covering the floor. By the time the clan wars, what we called the Warring States era, we had outposts several major and some minor nations. Is the Hall of Realms located in our temple in the Land of Waves? Naruto hummed. Himiko walked down to the mirror on the floor and tapped it with her foot. Soon every single mirror lit up, showing a different universe, each similar but different from the others. Naruto choked on his own saliva. He couldn't believe it, and yet it didn't seem like a dream even or a lie. He could sense the changes in one's chakra if someone is lying. There were none in Himiko. Himiko continued, we never really cared about the battles outside. Our clan saw the different wonders and powers coming from these realms and wanted to reach them. We eventually made contact with one, though a form of time-space summoning. That's when we met them, the yokai. She sighed. That's what they called themselves. It was an umbrella term for any sort of supernatural being, entity, or spirit. Some were trustworthy and honorable, others weren't. Like humans, they had rules they were bound to, though. Certain yokai could not lie, others could not break a promise if they made it, and some found certain elements in Outworld to be like poison. These rules were different for each species, but the rules themselves were baked into their very being. They used a different type of energy than chakra. They called it mana. If chakra was the combination of the body's spiritual energy and physical stamina, then mana was the spiritual side alone. The yokai had their own version of mana called yoki. It was a little different, but it could be used in the same ways. We saw them as friends and allies. The most honorable ones taught us how to bind the untrustworthy or rowdy yokai to our will. Himiko frowned. I bet they regret that. As we grew stronger and trained with our mana, some of our clan decided to conquer the elemental nations, while most just wanted to continue our lives. Some wanted to find a way to live with our friends in their world. That's when our civil war broke out. The two sides were those who wanted to dominate the world and those who wanted to live in peace. Naruto was now fully engrossed in the story. What side were you on? The live in peace side. We were nomads, and if the clans didn't bother us, which most of the times they didn't, we saw no reason to fight. Himiko stated we were under the rule of the clan head. The domination side fought under a man who fancied himself the dark sage of Yoki. That sounds so cool. Like an evil sage, Naruto said. I think it makes him sound like a dork. He took the names of our leaders, the Yoki sages, and just added dark in front of it. Himiko deadpanned, but he did have the power to back his self-made title up. Him and his followers found a way to bind other yokai, even ones they didn't summon, to their side. Bound and unbound yokai were forced to be his slaves as we waged war in the shadows of the other clans' battles. Maybe we were just assumed to be parts of the same conflict. It doesn't matter. Soon we found two ways to undo the binding. The first, if you sealed a bound yokai with a certain kind of seal that had the abilities of both a contract-breaking seal and a containment seal, the binding would eventually break, but we knew the process could take time based on how powerful the binding was. The second way was to send them home, a forced unsummoning. Himiko grimaced as she finished her story. In the end our side won, but at a great cost to both sides. Not many of us survived in this world during the war. Those not involved found a way to live in the yokai's realm. They left this world for good. I don't blame them. But for the ones on the domination side, the surviving leaders were put to death, but other soldiers allowed to rejoin the clan as long as they helped unbind the remaining yokai. Most were sent home, but some, like the ones in my temple, had grown so fond of our home here. They wanted to stay and had said as such, so I and a few others decided to seal them in the temple so they could be unbound. We agreed that some would come and release us when the time was right, but some bound yokai were still under their binding spells lifetimes later. By the time the villages were made, our clans and story was forgotten. Do you have any questions? With that, Himiko snapped her fingers and soon the two were back in the mess hall. Naruto was silent for a few moments, taking in the story. Why haven't I heard of magic before? We learned from the yokai to not show our power to the other clans. It was too dangerous. They would try to kill us to take our powers, like with bloodline limits. We even developed mind erasure spells to avoid our magic being stolen. As for the other side, I can't say, but I can assume they wanted to deal with us before the other clans, so the less they knew about mana and yoki the better. I see. You said there was a difference between mana and yoki. What is that? Mana and yoki are both life energy, but yokai are different in how they are made up. Remember those rules I mentioned as part of their being? The reason those rules are formed is because of yoki. I don't know why or how though. Naruto nodded. But why were your sages called yoki sages then? Himiko chuckled. Because there are ways to turn a human into a yokai. You have to be a yokai to be a sage. Naruto paused at that. He decided to think about that later. One last question. It's obvious that the Bijou are yokai. Are they still boo? At that a new, stern but distinctly feminine voice was heard. Those mere masses of chakra are not yokai, and never will be. Chapter 3. The yokai appear. Naruto spun around to see a looked like a human girl by the age of 15 walking towards him. As the figure got closer, Naruto noticed a few things. The most obvious was her purple skin. On her forehead were two small protrusions, horns or bones that were under her skin. Her white, straight shoulder-length hair had no bangs hiding her forehead so he could get a good look at them. Her eyes were a fierce yellow color and gave off the fierce look of a tiger. She was wearing a black kosode, her sleeves rolled up with a white sleeveless gi with a black outline and a black belt. From the waist down she wore a umanori, which almost looked like a dress to the boy. She carried a large spiked kanabo on her back. In contrast to the fangirls in Naruto's class, she looked like a proper kunoichi, her body trained, agile and ready for combat. "Ah, Akira, I'm surprised you decided to show yourself first." Himiko smiled. "Don't be." The purple Oni said curtly. The boy needed to see what a yokai looked like, but we can't have him scared away, so I appeared before the Arachne or Kitsune could. "Wait, I thought you said the Bijou aren't yokai? And isn't that beast dead?" Naruto blurted out. "That thing is no real Kitsune, just a conjuration of the Sage of Six Paths like those other chakra masses, and no true yokai. He doesn't even have yoki. The fact it shares a resemblance with one of the most powerful yokai species, and one that we have trapped and given us trouble gaining trust in the past." Akira explained. "Also, the beast is energy, chakra. You can't kill energy, only disperse it. If that happened, he'd reform somewhere. But the fact you think it is leads me to believe it's sealed away somewhere. Good for him, that arrogant bastard." Naruto could only nod in agreement. "How many yokai are in here?" 15. "Here, since you seem to be taking this well, I'll list them all out and they can come out to greet you," Akira stated. "Fair warning, not all of them are as easy on the eyes as me. I'll give them all a description when they appear again later. Too many right now, it ruined the story flow. First Terise me the Oni. I'm the rare purple one. Then there Rumiko the Kitsune, might as well rip that bandage off." "Hello, kid." The orange-haired fox girl said, all nine tails swaying. "Number 3's the Tengu Tanjiro. Mind the nose has compensating for." "Crass woman," said Tengu, interrupted. Naruto wondered how he could visibly blush when his face was already red. "4's Alec the werewolf. His name isn't from your culture. If he starts getting snippy with you, I have a spray bottle. Welcome to the pack, cub." The muscular man barked. 5's the Yuki-onna Umi, an ice queen so cold she can freeze lava, but a heart so warm it could melt anyone. "Hello, Naruto, was it? I hope this hasn't been too much trouble." 6 is a succubus. "Alice, you might want to invest in a chastity belt now." "Akira, I have standards," the bat-winged woman protested. "I'll wait till he's 13. She winked. Naruto shuddered. "Lucky 7 is a Kappa-Noa's Yusuke. He's annoying but honorable." Yusuke stuck his tongue out at Akira. "Hey Nart, want some cucumbers? They aren't real but they are tasty." Nart did not like that nickname. 8's Tomoko the Arachne. Despite her looks and gloominess, she's a sweetheart. At her introduction, orange-haired girl with an entire spider for a lower half slowly walked in. She looked mortified. "Hey, don't be scared." "Sorry." Naruto would have been afraid, but she looked too shy. "Cute." "Nah, I'm not scared. Not even shocked." He lied. "I love your hair. Orange is my favorite color, but everyone just gives me red stuff 'cause my brother likes it." She smiled at that. 9's a rabbit named Inaba. "Has a boy but he looks like a girl. I'm telling you this now so you don't get shocked when he hits on you later." "Spoil sport." The young rabbit pouted. Naruto thought he was the scariest so far. The 10th one is a selkie named Vo. She's loves games. "Hey, wanna play shogi?" Naruto was reminded of his acquaintance Shikamaru. "Nah, I always lose. Want to watch some clouds later though?" Maybe." Number 11 and 12 are a tanuki named Sato and a Mujina named Takami. These two have a three-way rivalry with Rumiko. Don't get in between their prank wars. "I might just get in on the fun." Naruto thought out loud. "Don't." Everyone but the three yelled, and Naruto yelled, "For your own safety." Umi added. Unlucky 13 is a vampire Isaac. He's pretty knowledgeable about mana and swordplay. He used to be a knight, which is like a samurai. "Nice to meet you, young squire." Naruto squinted. "I'm not a square." 14 is a Koma Inu named Genkai and one of the most loyal guardians we have. "Pleased to meet ya, pup." Finally 15 is a Kirin named Keiko. She's one of the strongest among us. "Hello, young one. Thank you for not judging us." After the introductions and a few pleasantries, Akira asked Naruto, "So you met us and know how we got stuck here? How about you tell us about your life a little?" And so Naruto did. The yokai and shrine maiden were saddened at the young boy's neglect. Akira spoke up first. "Lucky for you's lot of us are good teacher. Hell, I've taken a few students in my time, some ended up pretty powerful. Like the one who sealed us here. So I'll tell you what. You unseal one of us and then we'll teach you. Me, Rumiko, Tanjiro, Isaac and Keiko were all teachers in the past. But since Keiko wants to be the last yokai unsealed, you got 4 choices. Don't worry, we don't mind who you choose. Naruto hummed. Since the nine-tailed fox is a bit of a sore topic around these parts, I'd say Rumiko's off the table for now at least, and since I want to be a ninja I don't think Isaac is a good choice for me. No offense. None taken. So I guess the choice comes down to you two, but what can you teach me? I want to know before I make my choice. I'm a master at magic but am best with seals and elemental magic. I also am good at martial combat both by hand and with a kanabo as well as other weapons such as axes and hammers and a little swordplay. Tanjiro is a good martial artist and swordsman. Hess also knows many different styles of swordplay from single to double-handed and many different builds as well. He a battle priest and master of mana but specializes in illusion, wind and lightning. He also can teach you about ranged weapons such as bows. Naruto knew his choice. Now sealing has been in my family for years, so I want to learn it. But I promise to get some people to come here to free the rest of you, then I can learn everything. Everybody agreed to that. Alright, so Akira will be released first. Himiko started. So Naruto noticed the chain on her feet. Naruto looked down to see a long chain on her ankle leading out of the mess hall. Everyone had one, he saw. Follow that until you reach the seal tag, then rip it off, then Akira will be freed. As Naruto walked with Akira they started talking. What's that symbol on your back? Naruto asked. That's the symbol of the Binaru clan. AN. It's a 45 revolutions per minute vinyl symbol, the 3-pronged thing that looks a floppy version of Itachi's Sharingan. So what's the training going to be like? After I'm freed I'm going to change your body to easier use mana, that should take about a day. Since it's only been a moment outside the mindscape, it won't take too long. Afterwards, I will go over the basics of mana usage. I will teach you some hand-to-hand as well. We will practice after school, and on the weekends you will come to the temple. If you have any friends you want to train with I will train them as well. It will make convincing them to help unseal our friends simpler. When they got to the seal Naruto ripped it off. The force of the seal being unleashed threw Naruto back against the wall. His vision started to fade. Thank you, Naruto. When Naruto woke up he saw one stranger and 2 Anbu staring at him. Mga. Dog, Weasel, why are you here? Hello Naruto, we're just talking with your friend, Akira here. Naruto looked at the girl. Yeah, it was Akira, just as a human and not an Oni. No horns and lil white skin instead of purple. Same fierce yellow eyes though. Thanks for rescuing me and taking care of me while I healed, she said, her voice more relaxed than in the mindscape. So me and the masked bandits over here have decided I'm gonna be a leaf nin as of now, so I'll help Yaz get home. She picked herself up. Naruto looked confused. Why was she acting like this? Ah. Now that I'm safe I don't have to be so formal. Oh, that's it. She was trying to play nice earlier so he wouldn't be too put off to help the yokai. Why you still laying down? She picked Naruto up by his ankle and swung the 8-year-old over her shoulder, and started walking out the temple. Come on, used to you already. The masked bandits could only watch with amusement as one of the village's princes squirmed and struggled in the grip of the white-haired girl. As they walked back to the leaf and Naruto rubbed his bumped head complaining about being dropped. Akira asked, so Yaz had a clone of Wobble. Weasel twitched. Go back to the village and tell him about me, right? So where will I sleep tonight? Hopefully not on a park bench. Dog chuckled. We will have sleeping arrangements for you by the time you arrive. Oh yeah. Naruto interjected. Why were you two looking for me? It's Monday night. Naruto nodded. Akira frowned. This didn't seem too unusual. The rest of the trip home Naruto and Akira talked about the village. When the 4 got to the Namikaze house, Naruto sighed. He opened the door and the first thing he saw was his siblings inspecting their gifts he got them. What the hell? Those were for your birthday, that's next month, out them back. The 2 looked stunned at their brother. Naruto. Mito started a little stunned. Back. He said. The 2 ran upstairs with their gifts. They're just going to keep them, aren't they? Most likely. Dog replied. Oh, you're home, Kushina said casually, glancing at the 4 in the as they walked into the kitchen. Don't go playing around outside the village, okay? You should take being a ninja more seriously, but you did save that girl from her old clan ruins she was investigating, so I guess it's okay. Naruto nodded, learning the cover story from his mother. Akira smiled. Her new student was quick on the uptake. Ah, you're home, Naruto, and that's your new friend, Minato said coming down the stairs. I'm glad you didn't skip school to play pranks again. Naruto rolled his eyes. No, we scheduled that for next week. Akira smiled. Don't worry, Yaz-san is safe, emphasizing the sun. Minato nodded. It's been a late night, let's all get to bed. We can discuss your stay in the village tomorrow. Dog will walk you to your hotel room. As they left the house, Dog spoke up, seeing Akira's dismay over Naruto's treatment. Don't think too harshly about the 4th Hokage, he does love his son. Akira did not react. He continued, "You know about the Nine Tails attack, right? Well, 4th Hokage got cursed that night fighting the beast. He fights it every day. It affects his work both as a Hokage, and as a father." Akira raised an eyebrow at that. "How'd he get cursed?" Dog started to explain. "When he fought against the Nine Tails, he was going to seal the beast away. At the cost of his life he prepared to use the Reaper Death Seal. But his predecessor forcefully took over for him, sacrificing his life instead. Since the Shinigami only got one soul that night, when he usually gets two per summoning, the fourth, who survived and started the sealing but let the third take over, got cursed as a punishment." Akira stopped for a second. "I guess that makes sense." No, it did not. That's not how the Reaper works. If he did not like the terms he was dealt when called with a jutsu, he would just take the soul of the conjurer and leave. She knew that because she saw it before, and she used to be friends with the Uzumaki who made the Oni masks, including the Shinigami mask. He was one of ones who helped with the unbinding seals used in the Civil War. She would have to investigate that. For now she decided to play along. So it's out of character for him to act like that? Yes, without the curse I have no doubt he would be the best father ever. To all the kids. That settles it. She's going to get to the bottom of this. For her student and his family. Chapter 5. For the first year, Naruto's training focused almost solely on taijutsu, or as she called it, martial arts, along with other ninja basics like shuriken and kunai throwing, to bring him up to at least clan head levels if not near his siblings. Naruto also stopped pulling pranks and purposely getting half marks. He still kept his grades down, but more so as a way to avoid unnecessary attention. He also made his first friend in the form of one Rock Lee. Saving the upperclassmen from bullies, he brought the kid to practice one. Rock Lee had a talent for working hard and always went the extra mile. Akira figured out quickly that he had no chakra nature and thusly could not mold chakra outside his body. She decided altered his body to use mana, the same as Naruto, as a substitute, and he has been devoted to the two ever since. Akira trained Rock Lee to be mostly a taijutsu fighter, but with a few spells in his back pocket. He also could coat his hands and feet in elemental energy to increase the effectiveness of his punches. They found him trustworthy enough to introduce him to the yokai. Because of his mostly martial arts fighting style, he didn't have a good teacher from the others to choose from, and chose to free Yumi instead. To cover for the influx of newcomers to the Leaf, Akira claimed to be part of the Binaru clan, when speaking with Minato, to officially become a part of the Leaf. She claimed it was a long-defeated clan scattered across the nations, which was a partial truth. She fabricated sending letters to other survivors giving cover to the yokai coming to the Leaf. After being tested, Akira was introduced to the Leaf as a special jonin, but was not put on missions outside the village for a wait period to prove her loyalties. She didn't mind this, using the time to train Naruto and his friends, and investigate the Shinigami's curse, as it was called. She didn't tell her students about the investigations because she didn't want to give Naruto false hope or just have him accept the mistreatment of his family, because it wasn't their fault, it was the curse. In Naruto's second year of training, he had a bigger focus on magic and mana, with his taijutsu now at acceptable levels. Magic was different than ninjutsu in that there were no types of magic locked behind bloodlines. This meant Naruto and Rock Lee had to be careful, as they didn't want to accidentally use a bloodline limit such as ice or crystal and start having annoying and dangerous questions pop up. Also, Naruto found a new junior classmate in the form of a 5-year-old Konohamaru Sarutobi who only learned taijutsu from Akira. She didn't trust him to not blab about their secrets at his age, maybe when he's older. Also, his presence brought along Ebisu, whose arrogant attitude annoyed everyone when he came to take away the third's grandson, and be seen as the better teacher. He never could. Akira had started going on missions outside the village by this point and had to write out self-study scrolls for the 3 students. One day, while meeting with Rock Lee to deliver a scroll, he found Might Guy watching them train. She brought the 2 taijutsu specialists together but bluntly criticized his fashion sense. He offered her a green jumpsuit in return. She threatened if he ever offered her or her students one again, she would shave his head. She and Umi were a frequent sight at the library researching curses and the Shinigami. When she brought this up with the other yokai, they all agreed with her but wanted to be sure, so they had the 2 free ones look into the topics first. By the end of the year, she was satisfied with her research and steadfast in her conclusion. This was not a Shinigami's curse. Naruto's 3rd year of training was had and had started his training in sealing. Since he had studied seal composition since he was a child, he had an easy time learning mana seals since they were almost the same. Rock Lee had been coming less often due to his training with Might Guy, but that had a solid friendship both inside and outside of school. Konohamaru still was only taught taijutsu, but he also brought his friends along now. Naruto called the hour they came by after school daycare, much to the 3's annoyance. Naruto furthered his magic training, translating all the jutsu he knew into spells. He was also charged with finding a taijutsu style suited for himself. After a conversation or two with Lee and Guy and a little bit of research with Iruka, he decided on learning the Fox Fist, a style based on wearing out and tricking your opponent with feints. When Menma saw the kata scrolls in Naruto's hands, he laughed at the irony. "What's so funny?" "Nothing, brother, that style suits you." When Menma told the rest of the family, they had a small laugh as well. The only child without the fox is now using a fox-based martial arts style. Minato thought about approaching Naruto for training, but his headache forced him not to. "I need to focus on the 2's QB training anyway. He'll understand when he finds out." Now that Akira had finally finished her research, she decided on proving her theory. She had seen the curse in action with Kushina when she was invited to the Namikaze house for dinner once. Neither her or Naruto could sense anything when her headaches happened, so she assumed it had a cloaking component. She figured it was easier to look for the culprit, rather than molest a Hokage and his wife looking for a seal hidden God nowhere on them. She had become good friends with Dog, otherwise known as Kakashi. Asking him about village politics and their factions led her to 3 main suspects: the Uchiha clan and Hyuga clans. Their views on their own superiority made them easy suspects, the Hyuga clan more so with the caged bird seal. And finally Danzo, the power-hungry man with a by any means view on running the village. She quickly ruled out the Uchiha after a week. She noticed they were under too much surveillance to do anything, and that wouldn't happen if Minato was under their control. Also, she and Umi snuck into their compound and looked at their seals. They didn't have any that could do anything like that. For a while she thought it might be a Genjutsu, but after trying her most powerful mind control dispelling spell on Kushina under the guise of practice, nothing changed, so they were cleared. The Hyuga were a different story. They were harder to investigate. While prideful like the Uchiha, they didn't all sneak underground for a super secret fuckfest, or whatever late at night, so sneaking around their compound was going to be harder, impossible even with their stupid eyes. It took half a year alone to research them, until finally she had it in. One of the elders, the clan head's fathers no less, took a trip out of the village unattended, to meet with a business partner of a Hyuga-owned shop. On his way back, Akira knocked him out by simply walking right up to him and punching him, and brought him to the yokai temple to be interrogated. A few truth seals, a pissed set of pants and a memory-altering spell later, and the Hyuga clan was cleared of that crime at least. The Hokage was anonymously informed of multiple accounts of tax evasion and other white-collar crimes committed by the clan though. Danzo was the hardest to figure though. Akira and Umi couldn't even find the bastard for a good 3 months. Only proof he embezzled money from the Konoha military funds to his own private unnamed on-paper organization. Akira thought about tipping off Minato but decided against it, in case he burned everything and ran at the smell of an investigation into him. She got a lucky break when Danzo decided to approach Naruto himself out in the open after school one day. "The fucking idiot." The mummy asked Naruto a question, a simulation of events, to which Naruto curtly responded, "I don't deal in hypotheticals." Oh, must have ran into his brother or the Uchiha twins. Satsuki and her challenges always put him in a bad mood. As Danzo walked away, Akira had a clone follow him. She was thankful she was far enough away for the mummy or his emotionless pets to not notice her, or he would not have approached the boy. She tailed him to one of his bases and looked around, then had the clone dispel. She and Umi would have to plan. They were going to face an entire underground army, or at least infiltrate it. The 4th year of Naruto's training was defined by the words intrusive, stalking and investigation. The Uchiha twins had made it their life's goal to find out how and why he was so strong. Not join in on his training, no, that was beneath the two, or at least Satsuki. Sasuke seemed open to the idea when offered until she shut that down, just challenging him to fights and demanding he tell them how he got strong, using that stupid nickname he got since firmly planting his place in the middle of the class grade-wise years ago. "What is that woman teaching you middling?" she would ask again and again. Improv jazz. Naruto's amusement at the girl's frustration only grew each time this exchange occurred. It was payback for his own annoyance caused by her. He much preferred their older brother. He even told Itachi about the temple, but played it off as old legend he heard. His siblings also had a similar mission but could only do so much when not training with his parents. So they badgered him during lunch before they got swarmed by their fanboys and girls. Naruto wouldn't mind so much if they attempted to at least acknowledge their home life, but they refused to do that. Not so much as a "Hey, sorry Ka-san and To-san ignored you completely during dinner last night, how are you?" So he's not touching that topic with them. Then there's Hinata Hyuga. He can sense her following him everywhere. Training, shopping, even relaxing. He can sense her emotions, so he knows it's not malicious. She has this wistful longing and happiness, like she wants him to succeed and be his friend. But then why won't she just talk to him then? He asked Akira. She just made him wear a board with the word dance around his neck while he was at school the next day. 3 kids he didn't know, his siblings, Shikamaru and Kiba, of all people, just looked at him and said Hinata. The stalking did not get better with time. Soon he not only had Hinata watching him but also everyone else listed above. This impeded his training in multiple ways. First, he could not practice magic when they watched him. Secondly, he had started to learn weapons. He didn't want to learn a sword just yet. He promised Tanjiro that he would be the first to train him in that. So instead he picked up a bow staff after some nudging from Konohamaru. The watchful eyes of his stalkers, even when they thought he didn't notice, made him feel self-conscious, especially since Rock Lee was a Junon now and couldn't come to training as much even by last year's standards. One day he had enough and threw shuriken at the bushes and trees where his stalkers were, drawing them out. He yelled at his siblings and the Uchiha twins for a good few minutes. Sasuke and his siblings had the decency to be embarrassed, but Satsuki acted as if she was in the right, further angering Naruto. Hinata, who Naruto did not throw a shuriken at, was scared of possibly being found out due to Naruto's reaction and upset with herself for hurting him. The next day in school he asked her to train with him from now on at Akira's request. She fainted, but Naruto could tell by her chakra she was happy, so assumed it was yes. Akira picked them up after school and did not let Hinata say no. Her Hyuga attendant came to pick her up, but after seeing that she made more progress in one after-school lesson with Akira than all of her training with her father, let her stay. When she reported that to Hiyashi Hyuga, he felt mixed emotions: pride, she was finally achieving more, but also anger it was not from his methods. He let her continue training with them and even gave Hinata permission to do so. He honestly was more bothered by the leak in the Hyuga clan to care. Thus Naruto found a new training partner and Hinata got more confidence and got to be around her crush. Akira had her own stalkers this year in the form of Root, the name of Danzo's organization. This delayed her plans as she acted slowly, fearing that Leaf Ninja might attack her or force her out of the village. That was until she learned that of Root's style of recruitment via Kakashi, how they erased the names and history of the members and they were not really part of the Leaf. Sickened by Danzo's abuse, she gave the members tailing her a quick death, as they were experiencing worse in her mind. Hiding the bodies in the forest. Of the 5 tailing her, the Yamanaka and the Hyuga were the hardest to kill, but still she killed both easily, crushing one's head and incinerating the other with his eyes removed by a caged bird seal. She took 2 masks and uniforms and interrogated one agent after removing the mark on his tongue. She found Danzo, while having access to loyalty seals, did not put them on his agents for 2 reasons. 1, they caused major headaches when used as the person unconsciously fought back, and 2, he had faith in his brainwashing of his soldiers. Using the 2 uniforms, she and Umi reported to Danzo posing as 2 surviving agents of their fight via shadow clones she made. Akira had to thank Naruto for teaching her this spell or jutsu, whatever. Using spells, she copied the energy signature of his tongue curse mark for infiltration purposes. Danzo rescinded the watch orders on her and Umi, knowing he lost 2 of his best potential agents and that couldn't go after the many without exposing his illegal operation if they were fighting back now. Minato had disbanded Root after Danzo had tried undermining him and after learning how cruel it truly was. This made things a lot easier for the 2 as they could wage war silently in between missions and training Naruto and friends. Not wanting to risk anything, they decided upon using a special kind of clone spell, a modified spell that used a dead body as a base to infiltrate the organization. Since it could last up to 5 years and the clone was essentially an automatus puppet with the mind of the creators. The clone would also destroy the body upon death, leaving no trace of its existence except a pile of ash. The downside was that the clones could not give information back to the originals and that the clones could not receive orders. This was mitigated with receiver seals disguised as the tongue seals for communication between clones and the originals. A bit morbid, but it was their best option. Letting the clones do their work, the 2 lived normal lives, going out into the public without a care. While the clones did their jobs and reported back every other week, the 2 followed up on their investigations into the 2 clans to see if it had any changes in their behavior. The Uchiha clan had no changes except better security on their seal vault. Raccoon Trap says no evidence of humans breaking in was found. But the Hyuga clan was a different story. The clan elders and Hiyashi went on a tirade, turning the branch house upside down looking for the rat. Many a caged bird seal was triggered since then. Feeling responsible for the branch clan's woes, the 2 maidens spread a rumor that was sure to get back to the main clan head. A drunk main branch member in a bar had, in an attempt to get with a girl, told her about all the illegal stuff the clan was doing trying to impress her. Some guy who disliked their pompous attitude overheard and sent the anonymous tip to the Hokage, winning a spiteful victory. From that day on, no Hyuga clan member was allowed in a bar again, and any male main branch members who was caught drunk at all was punished harshly with a sparring session with all the elite members of the clan's fighting force. Soon the infiltrating clones had wormed their way into the optimal position for espionage against Root, teaching and indoctrinating new recruits. The two clones were going to turn Danzo's very army against him, and he made it easy for them. Since Root had its trainees kill their emotions accumulating in a test where they had to kill best friends, and Danzo foolishly never overlooked any part of their training, thinking his older members were completely loyal. They were ripe for turning against him. Teaching the students by day and searching for information by night, the two had begun to build a case against Danzo's order. The clones worked slow, making sure not to reveal anything. Using a spell to copy and duplicate information reports from Danzo's database. They worked from most recent to least. They copied anything they could find that looked suspect, plans he had written out, training procedures, mission reports and experiments he did. They even took the lunch menu. Since the final training, kill your best friend, could happen at any age or at any time, the two clones used this to get the copied information back to the real Akira and Umi. They handed one student a scroll with the information sealed inside. That student would be put in a near-death trance, a near-death state where they would be extracted by the two twins and integrated into the Leaf Village. It took almost 2 years, but they finally found it. Operation Overcast, a plan to use a powerful but costly seal, the hidden mind override seal, on powerful political opponents and ninja that opposed his view that would otherwise be untouchable during a tragedy or natural disaster, hopefully becoming a metal clone or puppet of the mummy. The biggest targets, Minato and Kushina. Namikaze result, partial failure, seal implanted and remains undiscovered. However, targets able to resist influences and complete control with willpower alone. Akira only wished she found this sooner because it could have saved Naruto a lot of heartbreak. Naruto's last year in the academy was not a pleasant one. It started off well. Umi, deciding she wanted to become a teacher, had started helping out at the school to gain experience. The students were allured by her beauty. She was a tall woman standing around the same height as Minato, with icy blue hair and eyes. Her hair went down to her waist. It was straight and thin and almost flowed as it followed her. She wore a traditional kimono with a icy blue snowfall pattern on a midnight blue robe, with a white obi around her waist. She wore traditional sandals and always had a flower made of ice in her hair. Kiba got in trouble more than once for staring at her breasts, being hit in the head with a snowball. Naruto, knowing Umi meant people talked with him to talk with her about her. Satsuki started bothering Naruto about how he knew her, but his siblings and the other clan heads got her off his back. They were still curious about how he knew her. Umi is part of the same clan as my teacher Akira, so I met her when I was helping set up the Binaru clan home. Akira called it unconventional strength building. I called it 3D rank labor. Then she threw an empty sakord at me. Naruto had sort of become a part of the Academy Elite, a group made up of highly skilled ninja hopefuls, all rivals and friends with each other. A/N. The Konoha 12 team guy plus Menmamito and Satsuki. Naruto didn't feel as if he was part of that group, but was still asked to hang around it, so he did, if only for the protection from the challenges and or suck up attempts from other students. His training with Akira was now focused on preparing for actual ninja life. To make sure Naruto and Hinata would not freeze in a combat or survival situation, she started off each lesson with a killing intent resistance session, then moving on to some combat and survival scenarios, and lastly infiltration skills. After that was done, they worked on combining their learned knowledge from over the years, singular in Hinata's case, so they could be used in tandem with each other. Akira also said that while she had struck a deal with his father and she was going to be a secondary teacher to his Jonin instructor, whoever that may be, Naruto was actually having a really good time. Until it came. On Wednesday, October 8, 2 days before his 12th birthday, he was called into the Hokage's father's office. "Hello, Tosan, what's this about? Why are you all here?" Tsunade, Jiraiya, his mother and even Kakashi were there. "Naruto, sit down." His father ordered. He complied. "I know your mother and I haven't always been the best to you." Understatement, but okay. "I want you to know that despite that we love you." Look, Naruto, there were certain circumstances in our family's life that affected us from the day you were born. Oh, by the Kami, he's adopted, isn't he? You can't know all of them yet, but you deserve to know some of them. Yep, he's adopted. He has blonde hair. Is he a Yamanaka? Maybe he can learn some clan jutsu. Do you know what a Jinchuriki is? Wait, what? Minato had explained the rough events of his and his siblings' birth, the masked man and finally the sealing, leaving out the curse. So that's why. The blonde boy trailed off. Kushina spoke next. "Naruto, we want to make it up to you. All of us do." "That's right, brat, and to do so we are all going to train you." Jiraiya interrupted, stealing the parent's thunder and earning him a slap from Tsunade. Annoyed, Minato coughed. "We're even going to give you first pickings on the summonings. The toad, slug or even the ninkin. We have even brokered a deal with the summons. If you want, you can sign all three." For half a second Naruto's smile shone brighter than the sun. This was everything he ever wanted and more. This was perfect. Too perfect. A nasty thought ran through his mind. What's the catch? There is no catch, Naruto. All we ask for is some understanding, and Minato started until he saw the dark stare on his son's face. That's not what your grimace said. Somebody, we don't know who yet, leaked your sibling status. Surely you've noticed the changes in behavior of the villagers concerning them. Naruto nodded. He did. That was part of the reason he's been letting them get closer to him. With the whispers and glares, they needed him right now. Well, in order to make sure they feel, and are, more accepted in the village, we want to do a gesture of support and approval. We wanted to make them clan heads of one each of our families. Naruto chuckled bitterly. Oh, I see. His voice betrayed his hurt. Kushina spoke first. Naruto, don't be like this, they are just titles, they really mean noti. I read clan law. I know what this means. Don't lie to me. Bio. Naruto shouted. Everybody reeled. They didn't know he read that, and they obviously weren't going to follow that, but with how they treated him, they didn't blame him for thinking he would. Naruto, it's not. His father started. Uzumaki Law Book 3 Head, Family Law Chapter 10 Section 2, Naruto stated, pain flowing through his voice. Namikaze Law is a copy-paste of the Uzumaki Law. There wasn't a clan until you made the hat, you told me that yourself. A humorless chuckle filled the air. You know, I always was afraid something like this would happen. And it did. Huh. With that he opened up the windows and jumped outside. Was Menma and Mito eavesdropping on the conversation? Naruto stared at them for a moment, then left, heading for the forest. Tosan, what was that law Naruto was talking about? We weren't going to follow clan law, Naruto, was the only response they got. That day more than ever Minato cursed the Shinigami for the curse it wrought. When Akira learned what had happened to Naruto, she almost flew through the village to find him. Akira knew from losing a clan heir status was a great source of pain and dishonor no matter the clan, often with other bad consequences, and from studying Uzumaki Law with Naruto, she knew exactly what and how dire they were. Losing the title of clan heir in Uzumaki Law only happened if you were considered someone who was too incompetent or untrustworthy to lead the clan or even be in it. If you lost the title, it meant becoming something similar to being branded a pariah or traitor. You were not allowed to hold any job except servile jobs, if you were even allowed to stay in the clan, most times being removed from the clan entirely, sometimes even being outright killed. At the abandoned training ground, Naruto shaking with hurt and anger. I knew it. I knew it. I prepared for it, and it still hurt. Even if Yaz prepared for 100 years, it'd still hurt. This pain is like death. There is no stopping it, Akira said. Gotta feels it out. Know it and overcome it. Only way, kid. You'll let Yaz sort yourself out. Take a few days, you need it. I'll be here for you, but I ain't gonna crowd ya. Naruto nodded. It'll be better then, he mumbled. She nodded. It'll take some time, but Yaz will. No, it'll be better than them, my siblings. At being a fox. Himiko said that humans can turn into yokai, and that's what he'll do. If my parents only care about kitsune children, I'm gonna become one. But not a massive chakra like you called it. A real one. And then my parents will see. You sure about this, kid? Look, won't go cutting your nose off toss by ya deadbeats, okay? Akira took a swig from a gourd. I know what I'm doing. Look, I was going to aim at being a yokai sage when I finally graduated from the academy. That's my goal as a ninja. I didn't want to tell anyone cause I didn't know what yokai I wanted going to become. This just made my choice easier. Akira let out a sigh. If that's your goal, so be it. I'll help you. She said that she thought this kid, a yokai sage, Naruto was not seen by anybody until his birthday. Every year on the night of the foxes' attack, the villagers held a festival, to remember the dead and to honor the sacrifices of those who stood up to the Bijou. Naruto was found watching the festival booths be set up. He turned to look at an effigy of the Ninetales made of wood, courtesy of the Onbukaino, stood ready to be burned. The boy wondered if the Bijou really were just chakra, then how did they come into being? Questions for another time. His eyes focused on the stage where his father was going to give his yearly speech and announce the clan heirs. A simple stage with a nice podium decorated with the Leaf Village symbol on the front. Behind it was the movable version of the Hokage throne used for events like this. On either side was a set of 2 chairs for the other speakers to sit in while they waited for their turn. Naruto jerked his head up. He had more tails than a kitsune, and only 5 out of 11 of them had any emotion. Naruto picked up 5 rocks and threw them at the Onbu's hiding spots. Just take me to the Namikaze house now. I'm in no mood for games. Dog, Weasel, Cat, Kaino and Ko all jumped down to Naruto's position. Dog tried to speak. Naruto grabbed his arm and said, let's go. They shunshined to the house. Naruto took a deep breath and walked into the Hokage's house. Without addressing anyone, he went upstairs to get ready. Hesa's still upset, Minato said. He has every right to be. Kushina sighed hopefully. After tonight, his anger will lessen. I hope those offerings to the Shinigami will stave off the curse, at least until for tonight. Tomorrow I'm looking though those old scrolls, if nothing's in there, we will prepare an expedition to Uzushiogakuer, though preparations will take more than a year alone. After the events of Wednesday, both parents decided to do something they planned to do a while ago, but let business and training their children get in the way of breaking their curse. They planned to use the Uzumaki Oni masks to contact the Shinigami, however they needed to research beforehand. They didn't want to make things worse. The three siblings walked through the festival together. Naruto thought about shaking Menma and Mito, but after sensing their emotions, decided against it. They didn't need the heartache. After buying a candied apple, the young blonde and his siblings headed towards where the celebration ended. There was Tsunade, together with a particularly famous Jonin. "Ah, there you are, Nawaki." Naruto gave the Hokage's assistant the candied apple. He was always kind to Naruto, so Naruto made it a point to be kind back. "Hello Naruto, Menma, Mito, how are you three?" "Good." They all said, and talked with the two for a while. "So you three all fighting to become the Hokage?" Nawaki asked. Naruto shook his head. "Nah, that's more of an M thing," referring to his family, "I'm looking to become a sage." Nawaki tilted his head. "This is the first time I'm hearing about this, I'm pretty surprised." Tsunade looked worried. "I clearly remember you shouting about wanting to become Hokage." Naruto laughed. "It was more than a little forced, yeah, when I was what, 5? At that age every ninja wants to be Hokage, just like every civilian wants to become a princess or fireman." Everyone looked at him with sadness or confusion. "You can be a sage and the Hokage, Naruto, our grandfather did just that." Nawaki offered. "Why is he so bitter? He really needed to get back in the loop." Maybe, but paperwork's not my style. Anyway, we just came to say hi." Dan said hello Tsunade, and he wants to buy you a drink when he gets off guard duty. Bye. The siblings started to run back to the festival. Tsunade reached out to Naruto as the other two left. "Wait kid, you know your parents never knew that you read the clan laws, right? And they never intended nor will they to follow them." Naruto scowled. "Funny, because it was my mom who always held the importance of clan tradition and values. That includes the laws, and it was her who encouraged my siblings for researching them. I guess she forgot when told her I was doing the same. Must have been the headaches again." He ran off before he could get a response. Minato was preparing for his speech with Jiraiya. "Do you think this will work?" The pervert nodded. "It's a good first step." Minato sighed. "I hope so." "Don't get all depressed on me now. I'm not even married to you and I know I'm sleeping on the couch for a while," joked Jiraiya. While wasn't the sole person who came up with the idea to swap hair placement, he pushed for it the hardest. He was trying to cheer up Minato because the blonde leader had been unnaturally quiet for 2 days now. "When the kid sees what you've done he'll come around." Minato nodded and opened his mouth to speak. Before he could, his two youngest came through running in the backstage, ready for the speech that was happening soon. "Where's?" Here Naruto came inside hand in hand with Hinata, Kushina behind them. "I was talking in private with Tsunade, then I found Hinata. She asked to wait back here with us." The young Hyuga had to force herself not to look sourly at the adults. What happened Wednesday was a private affair, so of course the entire village knows about it. After 4 other short monologues, the Hokage was expected to make a speech to cap off the celebration. Minato's speech started out as a bog-standard one, thanking the ninja and civilians for their work, a moment of silence for those who died on the day of the attack, talking about the progress made in the year, telling the small jokes and offensive jokes that were expected and playing to the crowd. A well-delivered speech to be sure, but if you attended this festival even 1 year you expected everything that was said. What Minato did next was unexpected. "Now before I finish this I need to talk to you all, the village, about some serious topics." He scanned the crowd. The clan had seemed to know what he was going on, nobody else did. "On the day of my 3 children's birth the Ninetales attacked and was defeated. This is why we are here today, to honor the dead and to celebrate the living. To show the world that the leaf survived, that the leaf pulled together and that the leaf endured." The crowd cheered. "It is our unity as a village, as a shinobi force, that makes us strong, that gives us our will of fire." The cheering got louder. "That is why we must strive to overcome barriers and biases to work together." Minato waited for the cheers to die down. There were many heroes that night, many who sacrificed their lives. Backstage the Namikaze family were watching the speeches. Naruto breathed in and quietly started doing hand signs. Kushina noticed and reached out to stop him, but Hinata grabbed her hand. Minato continued. "But there are some heroes that were never acknowledged, heroes that sacrificed and continue to sacrifice to this day, in secret to protect you all. Well, now these people will have to sacrifice in secret no more. These people are my siblings." At that moment Naruto replaced himself with Minato's portable throne. Gasps and stunned silence from the crowd. What was the boy thinking? Using his father's shock, he walked up to the podium and stole the microphone. "Sorry father, but I'm going to take it from here. But before I begin, Hinata Hyuga helped me get to my family after I was separated tonight, so she is backstage with them. I'm sure your clan was wondering where you were, so why don't you join them?" Said girl leaped across the stage and back to her clan. The crowd giggled. "Now you all know the three who finally defeated the fox, right? My dad, mom and Naruto made a one-handed shadow clone which transformed into the third Hokage as his mother walked out to stop him. Lord Third, but what if I told you there were two more?" At this point his brother and sister walked on stage as he motioned for them. "You may be wondering how two newborns defeated the nine-tailed fox, right? Well, let me explain. You know that the nine-tailed fox is a bijou. A giant monster with infinite chakra that is powerful enough to cause natural disasters just by roaring. Well, here's a little known fact about the bijou. They are living chakra themselves, and because of that, they cannot be killed permanently. If they are killed they will just reform later. So in order to defeat the fox once and for all, it was split in two, and sealed inside my siblings. Every day they have trained to control the beast's power, to make sure it never terrorizes the land again. And because of the control, dedication and loyalty, the Leaf to my parents have agreed to make them the clan heirs of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. Mito will one day restore the Uzumaki clan. And Menma will build the Namikaze clan up to great heights. Let's give them a round of applause." The next week the Academy elite were huddled in the school courtyard as a group. In the center, Naruto. The only two off to the side was Hinata and Satsuki. "I'm sorry man, this must have hurt." Kiba started. "It was brave of you to go out on your own terms. If illogical, I gained a lot of respect for you." Shino offered. "Thanks guys." Naruto smiled weakly. "If you need a place to stay, I asked my parents and they said you could for a while." Sasuke really is the friendliest of the group. It makes Itachi proud. Menma and Mito were silent. Choji said, "We're here for you man, let's get some barbecue, later all of us." Sakura, slightly annoyed, interjected, "I don't understand what's the big deal here. It's not like Naruto's parents kicked him out, he lost a worthless name, big whoop." "Sakura, shut up," Hinata yelled, startling everyone. A clan heir title is more than just a fancy name. It's a title, rank, an expectation. It's a promise that when you come of age you will lead the clan. It's part of your clan identity and acknowledgement, in certain cases losing that can be worse than being kicked out. It can have dark consequences. Everyone paused. They knew the horrors of the caged bird seal, what it could do. Satsuki spoke next. "For once the princess and I are in agreement. Losing a clan heir title in my clan can lead to the sealing of the Sharingan. It's never a good thing." Sakura shook her head. She couldn't grasp the gravity of the situation. Civilians rarely did understand shinobi politics, especially clan succession, because of how secretive it all was. "We don't even know what the consequences for the Uzumaki." Menma cut her off, because in the Uzumaki clan being clan heir was reserved for traitors or those who were utterly incompetent. Losing that title means becoming something similar to being branded, and becoming something similar to being branded a pariah or traitor. Most times being removed from the clan entirely, sometimes even being outright killed. In the cases of the former, there were ways to abdicate, or ask someone to abdicate the title harmlessly, mainly through ceremony and giving of a rank or similar title, or offering Naruto a chance to prove his worth as heir. What my parents did was not one of them. They planned to make it right during the festival, but that's not the point. I don't think they meant this, but what they unintentionally by trying to bribe him like they did, what was said was he had no place in the family. Sakura was quiet for a minute. "It's not like that, this is a different case. It was to help Mito and Menma, not hurt Naruto." Mito softly said, "There were better ways. We are actively looking for survivors from the clan. What happens when they find out about what happened Naruto and judge him?" With that the bell rung and everyone except Naruto went inside. The next day Naruto got Hinata to skip school to go to the temple and release a yokai. Because of what clan Hinata belonged to, Akira didn't trust her sooner, but she earned her stripes and even met the yokai and got their approval. She and Tomoko became fast friends due to their similar nature. Hinata wanted to release her, but Tomoko said no because they didn't have space for her in the apartment the Baineru clan had turned into a temporary compound. Turns out having a giant spider for a lower half takes up a lot of room. Who knew? Since Hinata knew Naruto's goal, she chose Rumiko instead. The nine-tailed kitsune looked, in a word, stunning. She had long, orange hair that went halfway down her body. She had green slit eyes, sharp but full of warmth like Tsume Inuzuka's, but also holding a certain mischief in them. Her lips pursed in a small, playful, and dangerous smile. On her head there were fox ears that seemed to come out of her hair. She wore a long elegant white dress, a deep blue Chinese-style tabard covering it. On the tabard there was the Baineru clan symbol in white. 9 Orange tail swayed from the back of the dress. Hey, ah kid, I thought you'd said that it wouldn't be safe to release me so soon. The fox woman teased. Aren't you afraid you'll be hunted? Her mock pout was only held for a few seconds as Naruto and Hinata's deadpan causing her to smirk. Akira has told me your goals, a kitsune yokai sage? A lofty goal, but with my help it will happen before long. And you, young girl who freed me? She smiled before flashing to Hinata's back, pushing her body against the young Hyuga, whispering in her ear, I can sense your emotions towards the boy. If you want to be with him, you'll have to become a kitsune as well. Follow my teachings and you'll become a splendid vixen. A determined Naruto, human form Rumiko and beet red Hinata left the temple to meet Akira and Team Ro. Naruto and Hinata were prepared for the force so she wasn't knocked out. Umi and the children had fabricated a letter exchange, as a cover for the yokai to come to the village. As soon as the Konohamaru crew got more freedom as a Genin, they too would release a yokai, if they weren't all released by then. Naruto, I know you're excited, but you shouldn't have left ahead like that. Dog chided calmly. Yeah brats, Yas left me's in the villages with a bunch of masked bandits, they even stole my sake. Akira chimed in, trying to get her gourd back from Weasel. Everyone laughed as they walked home. Minato sat in his office 8 months after the Fox Festival. Stuck reading reports of academy students their Jonin prepared after the real graduation tests. Looking through the papers he got to his blonde son's name. The Hokage hesitated. He knew he hurt the boy, not that he wanted to. The Shinigami's curse hung heavy on his family. The Hokage also knew his relationship with his other 2 children wasn't that good. Unlike the neglect Naruto faced, the curse manifested during their teachings. Naruto only saw the training his siblings had that Minato allowed the world to see. The laughing happy times tree walking with mommy and daddy. Not the 10 hours a day brutal torture. Not the sparring in an all-out slugfest. Not the burnout chakra points from overtraining or the unbelievable obstacle course they had to do. Mito and Menma puking from being pushed too hard. Minato could not allow Naruto to join that. If his siblings with the 9-tailed fox chakra barely had enough stamina for the hellish training, then Naruto would die doing it. Probably with a smile on his face. He always wanted to be a part of the family, and that's what made it worse. Minato truly felt horrible seeing his boy grow cold to his family and the outside world, and once this year was over, Dan would take a temporary ride with the hat so he and his wife could search for a cure and earn the boy's love and trust again. As he pushed aside the reports on the ninja hopefuls as Weasel and Kaino appeared in his office. Did you find who the new one is? According to Lady Uzumaki's Senja's documents, the kitsune. Minato hummed. Kushina was shocked when a girl came in with her son one night claiming to be a part of the mythical clan she heard about from her bedtime stories. A clan that traveled with the Uzumaki nomads that summoned magical creatures from folklore and could see into different worlds, that was said to have disappeared during the warring stated period. And the girl was found in a temple known by ninja for causing dreams and nightmares of said creatures. The next day Kushina visited the Senju compound and went right into the room of the first Hokage's wife and her daughter's namesake, Mito Uzumaki Senju. And under the floorboards right where she remembered it, a book, and when she opened it staring at her, the girl from last night but with purple skin and horns along with other yokai, and the legend of their clan. From that day on they investigated the girl. A Yamanaka mind search done when she was interviewed to enter the village proved she had no ill will. All she hid was her status as a yokai and some other secrets relating to that. Her only plans seemed to be to unseal the Shrine Maiden, Himiko and the rest of the yokai and Baineru clan in the temples around the world, then restructure the clan to live in the leaf, taking all clan secrets back with them. Minato thought that was okay enough, so as long as she didn't step too far out of line she was allowed to stay. And since she had trained their son when they were too compromised to do so, it was the least they could do. Minato nodded. As long as she's nothing like our other fox, it shouldn't be a problem. Kaino spoke next. According to the books and other research we found, she is benevolent yet mischievous. As long as her pranks aren't too bad she should be fine. Just then Minato threw a kuni at the wall to the right of him. A false panel opened up. Out came 3 root agents, one with orange hair and a puppet, and one with blue hair and one with black hair. I thought I decommissioned and shut down Danzo's little project. Minato eyed the trio. You did, the black-haired one said. They silently left 2 scrolls on the table. The orange-haired one pulled out a vial of blood and poured on the scrolls, unsealing them for the Hokage's reading. Be glad a traitor to former advisor had found it prudent to turn against him. If they did not, the roots rot would have killed the tree. It already started to. Read the information they had sacrificed to get to you before anything else. We must return to Danzo before he finds out what we did. Shin will stay to verify the documents because Danzo believes he is already dead. He spoke as the 2 left. Minato opened the scroll and out popped all the information Akira collected. As the Hokage read the first file, a report, slowly killing intent, filled the room, choking the Anbu, and his guard hanging from the ceiling. Minato spoke in an unsettling calmness betraying a boiling rage. "Get me Inochi here. Now." Kano looked back as the desk and saw the name of the report on the table, Operation Overcast. Danzo sat in his compound. He read his reports. Sipping on black tea, the bitter drink helped calm his nerves. Report. A root member stepped out of the shadows. All civilians have been evacuated. We have no troops among them. The leaks were far greater than we imagined. Our undercover agents are all terminated. And our enemies are advancing. Danzo nodded, dismissed. How did this all go so wrong? Minato looked at the DNI head and the Yamanaka clan head with grim anticipation. Their looks were not much better. So it's true? All of it? He didn't need them to answer. After knowing what to look for and having Jiraiya help him, he was able to disable the cloaking matrix on his wife's curse mark. The glowing green mark was easily destroyed, the foreign chakra and DNA flushed from her system. Guess the bastard decided having an unremovable curse mark was better than an undetectable one. The Toad Sage commented. Minato looked furious, but he didn't speak. That was a week ago. His own removed shortly after. Kushina insisted they do his in front of the children so they knew especially Naruto, knew why their childhood was the way it was. Minato sat up as a clone took his seat. You were never here. He grabbed both their hands and they flashed away. Hiyashi Hyuga stood watching his two daughters training, feeling more than a twinge of guilt. After ignoring his older daughter for so long, she had found a teacher better suited for her and she had rocketed levels above her former self. In 1 year she had gotten so good at her gentle fist she could stalemate Neji even with his father's training. And Hisashi was almost as good a fighter as the Hyuga clan head himself had, and maybe even a better teacher. By the end of the second she was beating the child, and was even working on modifying the style to suit her better now. He sighed as the tri-pronged kunai given to him by Minato flashed out, popping a note with 3 short sentences. Everything was true. We act now. Follow the plan. With that he stood up and clapped his hands. All right, that enough. You two have done well. Now listen closely. Shikaku and Choza relaxed as they played shogi. The two having met for a little bit of downtime after their kids graduated. Shame Inochi couldn't show up today, huh? Maybe he could lose to you for a little bit, Choza joked. Shikaku laughed. Yeah, shame. He looked up at the sky. It was a little before noon. Minato's kunai flashed and out popped the note. After the two read it, the two leaned back. Shikaku muttered, to take a page out of my kid's book? Troublesome. Shibiaburame paced back and forth inspecting the clan's hives, Minato's kunai in hand. His was anticipating the note. His clan members were finishing up preparations. If they were going against Root, they were going to have to counter some of the most dangerous Kikaiku mutations in the clan, and he wasn't going to be there to lead them as he was on a mission of his own. He read the note and shook his head. Were they ready? Tsume Inuzuka stared at a picture of her husband, Kiba, in his memorial shrine. Though unprovable, she had always knew his fatal last mission was sabotaged. He had been a thorn in Danzo's side, always calling for the accountability of the man, and fought against his clan members being used en route. Hana, her daughter, came into the room holding the 4th note. She softened her gaze for just a moment. We finally got him. I'll make sure to give him one for you. Then her look hardened again, ready to finally get rid of Danzo. Fugaku Uchiha waited in the secret room in his compound. The clan elders, all combat-ready Chunins, Jonin, Anbu, and his family with him. He was quietly racking his head around the past few days. Seeing Minato in full dojo to apologize to him for not knowing or preventing Danzo and the elders' persecution of his clan left him shocked. The man also negotiated a deal. Along with their full rights restored, the clan would be given the harder, and more secretive missions that needed to be done. He laughed to himself. His clan had supported Orochimaru's bid for Hokage when his own failed before it started. If that had succeeded, his clan would probably be on an operating table right now. The irony of it all. His tri-pronged kunai glowed and out popped a note. After reading the 3 short lines, he made a few commands. All right, Sasuke, Satsuki, meet with your teacher. Shisui, the Hokage requested you fill in for Itachi on his Anbu team. Itachi will lead the clan. It's happening. You know what I expect of you. The civilians were somewhat annoyed that there was an unprompted emergency drill and they all had to shuffle, guided by Jinan and Chunin, up to the bunkers and the Hokage's monument. Most Jinan and Chunin found the job to be easy enough, and if it got them a easy C rank they wouldn't complain. Only the Hokage triplets and Uchiha twins were told by their parents what was going on, and Shikamaru figured out there was more but didn't know what. Coincidentally, their Jinan teams were guarding the hospital in this emergency drill. They're another civilian being pulled back by an guard that makes 15. What's going on? The lazy boy asked. Naruto sighed. Infiltration training. Anbu are hidden among the civilians to test the ninja. He hated lying to his friend, but SS-ranked secrets are SS-ranked secrets for a reason. Menma came out of the coma ward as Shikamaru walked back to his team. Rin say anything? Mito asked half-joking when Rin jumped in front of Kakashi's Chidori. He moved it slightly. This allowed her to survive the attack if only barely. Minato destroyed the seal on her heart. If Kakashi hadn't dropped the Hashirin kunai he was given before he fainted, she would have died. Yeah, she wants some chips and a soda. He snarked. Naruto looked out the window. Dad and the clan heads are making their move. Now. I can't sense them anymore. Minato lead the raid on Root's main facility, followed by all the clan heads including his wife and Akira representing the Uzumaki and Binera clans. They were quick but thorough, checking every room. Hiyashi would look first with his Byakugan, identify how many people were in a room and where, then Kushina would restrain them. Then, they would clear the room. Some researchers were subdued and taken in to be questioned. Other than that, everyone was killed. Hiyashi and Fugaku identified the traps and Shikaku would disarm. Turning a corner, a mass of Root agents blocked the hall. Minato was about to launch his kunai, but Akira and Fugaku put an arm up, stopping him. Both took a step forward, Akira chanting, Fugaku weaving hand signs. Both blew a stream of fire that merged together, roasting the group in front of them alive. Itachi led the Uchiha headed towards one of the other facilities in Konoha, one that had an anti-Hyuga room, made in case they had to take action against the clan. Following his head, they killed anyone on site, taking any research and evidence of wrongdoing. Itachi, take a look at this. One of the Uchiha called it's a plan for artificial monster based on the first Hokage's cells and the cells from an old temple in the Land of Wind. It's called the Artificial Nu. The equipment to create it is in this lab. Itachi looked at the research. Taking it, he made a decision. After we clear this place, destroy the lab before the creature can be finished. But make sure you get everything on that temple. The Sannin and Rumiko went to a base situated outside of the village. This base had the least amount of troops, but had the locations of all active foreign Root agents. 2 guards in the front and at least 5 inside the first room. What do we do? Rumiko chuckled. I have a mist that gives whoever inhales it a kinetopsia, or motion blindness. Take out the 2 guards and I'll flood the building with the mist, then our infiltration and destruction will be easier. Both Sannin looked at each other. The kitsune was like a female Orochimaru, but less evil. 2 well-placed kunai later and they were by the entrance. A quick containment barrier seal was placed around the area and the mist was spread. Shisui looked at the base. This was no place for children, yet they were forced into this facility. Team Ro was slowly moving the group of at least 75 children to the exit. Using his Koto Amatsukami, he gained the Root agent's obedience in extracting the children. One child, calling himself Sai, followed the group with a sketchbook, creating mice to scout ahead in case Sai didn't get all of the Root members. You have the eyes Danzo wanted. The boy said bluntly. You told Minato about them and Danzo's spies told him. Shisui was shocked to hear this. The boy continued. Danzo believes if you grafted some cells of the first Hokage onto your skin it would negate the cooldown and negate the blindness. One of his medical trainees gave me the documents for that here. He handed the Uchiha the report. Shisui was quiet the rest of the time. He had a lot to think about. Minato broke down the last door with the Rasengan. In the room was Danzo sipping tea. So you've come at last. Chains pierced the old man's body. Minato slapped a seal on the man's bandaged eye. You're done, Danzo. You and the other elders are done. Your poison will not spread and destroy the village any longer. Danzo looked up at the Hokage in contempt. What I did was to strengthen the village. Minato yelled, almost screamed. How? By destroying our clans? Without them there is no village. By stealing funds and subverting our leadership? By cursing me and ruining my relationship with my son? He took a breath. No, what you did was strengthen your military, your power. If it didn't line up with how you wanted the village to be, you would have no problem weakening and harming it, even if it meant destroying the entire village. Danzo silently cursed. He couldn't argue what they said. They wouldn't believe him anyway. I assume you're here to drag me into the streets and execute me? There's no point in fighting. Root is dead. My research and plans are taken. Just as you said I have done, you also will weaken the village. Fugaku spoke up next. Spare us the posturing. A new group will be made to do the dark but necessary work this world hoists upon us. But one loyal to the village, its leader, and its ideals. And one that is kept in check without a despot making power grabs at the helm. And no, we decided you don't get a public execution, no chance to turn yourself into some twisted martyr. With that, Danzo was killed, each clan head stabbing him with a sword at the same time, a pact to kill the darkness that stained the village, and a shared victory over it. At the same time of Danzo, the darkness of the leaf, died. A light in the village woke from her slumber. Minato's student opened her eyes and walked out to the hospital lobby. Hi, who are you guys? Where am I? She asked the 2 redheads and 1 blonde. Naruto was the only one not shocked enough to speak. We are the 4th Hoka. your sensei's children. To say that Noharu Rin was stupefied after being in a coma for 14 years was like saying Tsunade liked drinking, a complete understatement. At first she was scared, afraid the seal on her heart or on the Sanbi would break or the forbidden individual curse tag on her heart would break, and was relieved when she found that the former was remade into a proper seal and the latter was destroyed via open heart surgery. Adjusting to seeing all her friends and contemporaries grown and changed was hard. She was glad that the Namikaze family and Kakashi were there to help her. Her opinions on how things changed differed. She was happy to see many of her friends now jonin, and was proud for every one of them. She hated Kakashi's new reading habits and openly called him a pervert much to his sadness. She did however go along with Kakashi to his memorial visits to Obito. 1 or 2 times she felt like there was a steel gaze watching her, but she could never prove it. She also swore she heard the wind say "I'm sorry" when she was alone. Rin had started her training very slowly to regain her old skills and abilities. Training with her was a new constant D-ranked mission. If catching Tora was the most hated D-rank, training with Rin was the most loved. She brought snacks for everyone and was always kind during the sessions. One time there was actually a fight between 2 Genon teams, when the only 2 missions left were the Tora and Rin missions. She lived with the Namikaze family, becoming a big sister of sorts. After learning about Danzo's curse, she swore to bring the man back to life just to kill him again. She felt bad for her new family but made sure to never show too much pity. Pity was worse than any insult for a ninja. "So, you 3 are on a team with Lady Kushina as a sensei. How did your test go?" asked Rin one dinner. Menma leaned back in his chair. Might as well tell you about it," he said cheekily, "but the story really starts after the academy graduation exam." Naruto had skipped all the classes since his stunt at the QB festival. He only went to school to talk to the academy elite in the mornings. So when Mizuki came to Naruto offering him a chance get revenge on his parents, it almost shocked him. "I'm working for a powerful man who can make you stronger than your siblings. Everyone knows that your parents put you up to that speech. Aren't you angry at them for taking away your birthright?" "He can help with that." Naruto agreed to his plan, and said he had to get home so it wouldn't be suspicious. Immediately he told Kakashi and his father, getting permission to fight the traitor after bringing him a fake scroll. "If I wasn't under the curse I would have never let you do that." Minato almost shouted, mortified by his behavior. Naruto just laughed. That night Mizuki met Naruto in the forest, outside the village. "So you're here," the traitor smirked, "and you brought the scroll?" Naruto nodded, and threw him the scroll. The white-haired man caught the scroll and said, "My master will love this, he's a great man and will reward you greatly." He too was snubbed and shunned by this village. Naruto asked, "Who is this man?" Mizuki grinned evilly. "Orochimaru." With that Naruto kicked the man in the stomach and asked, "Up in the trees, did you get that?" 2 Anbu and 1 white-haired special jonin jumped down. "Yep, good hunting, kid, Yaz caught a rat. But I wouldn't eat it, smells kinda funny." Naruto grinned as he took a stance in the fox fist. Mizuki stared at the group before him, his face twisted into a sneer. "There is no point in fighting you all, but I'm not going back to the village to meet Ibiki." He threw a Fuma Shuriken at Akira and ran away. The Oni caught the weapon while Naruto gave chase. The blonde fired 5 wind bullets at the traitor, only one hit, nailing him in the right leg below the knee. As he stumbled and fell, Cat jumped on his back and restrained him. "Good work, Naruto," Rin said, genuinely impressed at what he did. Naruto smiled. "It was nothing." "Like hell it was nothing." His mother yelled, hugging her child. "Don't ever do something that stupid again. Bane." "Ow mom, Lego, you're crushing me. Bio." Everyone laughed at the mother-son interaction. Anyway, after the week we had off after that, Naruto pulled his greatest prank yet. "All of us helped, Dad Bun." Mito grinned. The day they all returned to the school was interesting to say the least. Naruto decided it was time for him to do one last joke to say goodbye to this place. As he walked through the halls, he and his classmates could barely control their giggles. Most teachers just gave exasperated looks to their students. For Naruto convinced not just his class but the entire student body to have a wardrobe overhaul. Most wore blue or black shirt and baggy pants combos with green vests over them. Some chose to wear bandanas on their heads, or had fake cigarettes and toothpicks hanging from their mouths. A few kids had all black uniforms with gray body armor. Some girls had red and white dresses or a tan top covered by a green jacket. Yes, all the children dressed up as famous or active jonin and Anbu from the Hidden Leaf. Every single student. As Iruka and Minato came into class, he wanted to be there for his kids. They were floored. A sea of mini Asumas, Dons, Shizune, some clan heads, most clan heirs dressed as their parents, and Sanin all stared back except for some empty spaces with missing students. Iruka face faulted while Minato chuckled. The blonde Hokage looked for his kids, Mito dressed like a mini Kushina with whiskers and Menma wore a homemade Hokage cloak. He resisted the urge to go into father mode and daw over how cute his kids looked, but he did sneak a photo or five. Naruto dressed as a Viki. How did he even know what he looked like? Questions for later. As soon as Iruka recovered, very funny class, settle down now, where's, then the bell rang, cutting him off. After the bell stopped, Naruto opened a window and a line of 15 Kakashis walked in, 11 leaving to go to their own classes while 4 took their seats. Iruka threw his papers in the air and left for the day. Minato held back a laugh. Now Naruto, you know better than. He snapped his head towards a student. Does that Tsunade have water balloons in her costume? Yes. Ino screamed, taking a balloon out and throwing it at a sleeping Shikamaru who lost a bet and had to dress as Might Guy. Rin was on the floor dying with laughter. Water balloons. That's great, and Inara dressed as Might Guy? Ha, she laughed. Kushina grinned, showing a picture of the triplets and their teacher, Kushina herself. Obviously we couldn't do the test that day, so we just went for introductions. Minato called the teams as Iruka had left. Naruto zoned out until the 2 teams of importance were called Team 7, Naruto, Mito, and Menma Namikaze led by Lady Kushina, and Team 11 Satsuki, Sasuke and Sakura led by Kakashi. When the Jonin came to pick up the teams, Kushina was the first one there. She instantly cooed and cuddled with Mito and Menma while Naruto laughed. Soon he was being doted on as well. Oh, my cute little torturer. So this is what you've been planning all week. He didn't even pretend he didn't like the affection. As the other teams left with their kids, soon it was Kushina and Teams 7 and 11. Where is that man? Kushina wanted to partner with Kakashi for the tests and introductions. As 10 minutes passed, Sakura put money on the teacher's desk. At the half-an-hour mark, the Uchiha twins put money on the desk as well. Kushina raised an eyebrow. 1 hour later, Menma grumbling put money on the table. Thought mom was gonna drag him in by now. Are you betting on when he comes? Mito and Naruto nodded. I'm going to kill him. Put me down for 2 hours. Kushina put money down on the desk next. She was about to drag him back when Menma stopped her. If you didn't do it for me, you can't do it now. Databan. At the 3-hour mark, he came into Mito yelling "Demit," and handed Naruto her money. He squinted his one eye as Naruto picked up his winnings from the desk. The 2 teams gathered on the roof, where Akira was sleeping. Kushina started, well, since we're going to be a team together, let's introduce ourselves. Before Sakura could ask what they should say, Naruto started. I'm Naruto. I specialize in ninjutsu and my bow staff, but I also use the fox-style taijutsu. I have wind and water release affinities. Outside of the academy jutsu, I know wind and water bullets, gale palm, water clones, shadow clones and temporary paralysis. I'm working on learning wind shadow clones and exploding shadow clones. I have practiced seals and can make a D-rank storage seal, and a C-rank exploding seal. Everyone was impressed, by Leaf standards, which was higher than any other village. Naruto was at Chunin level at least. Satsuki smirked. So that's what she, pointing to an unamused Akira, taught you? Naruto chuckled. That's not all she taught me. She also taught me. Everybody leaned and improved jazz. Satsuki and Sakura face faulted. Meanwhile, Kushina felt a pang of guilt as Mito and Menma were both mid-Jonin level. Menma knew everything Naruto knew, wanted to know, and more. He mastered wind and was close to mastering lightning and water-style jutsu. Instead of a bow staff, he mastered a sword. Mito specialized in wind style and sealing, infusing the later with her chakra chains. While both twins had them, Mito excelled at them. Her sealing was good enough. She could seal Chunin level people or creatures and break most summon contracts with chakra seals alone. Add in her chains and she was a monster. Well, Naruto, what are your goals? To become a sage, the boy said with a shrug. Akira smiled at her student. Rumiko, who hid disguised as a stray cat, smirked to herself. Mito went next. She also explained her skills, then stated her goals. I want to become a sealing master in the next Hokage. Menma followed suit. I want to become a master of all 5 elements in the next Hokage. Sasuke went next. I know 5 fire-style jutsu, wire shuriken in my clan's taijutsu. I want to learn kenjutsu and become an Anbu like Itachi. Satsuki went next. She knew the same things as Sasuke. I will lead the Konoha police force. Sakura was stunned. I don't know much. I'm good at the academy jutsu. Mito spoke up. Don't be discouraged because all of us had a head start on you. You'll catch up with our help. She smiled. You have better chakra control than all of us here. You could be a medic or a genjutsu master. Naruto spoke next. Why don't you train with me and Akira? With your genius, I bet you'll catch up in no time. Sakura nodded. Rin grinned. Now time for the test. The next day was the test at 7 a.m. Kushina and Team 7 and Team 11 were waiting on Kakashi. Kushina was meditating as it helped stave off the curse a tiny bit. Akira was teaching Sakura tree walking and conditioning with the others' help. By the time Kakashi got there, Sakura was passed out running laps up and down the tree. Maybe I should have had her eat something. His sweat dropped. He complimented their teamwork and woke Sakura up. Team 11 went on to do the bell test. Kushina waved goodbye as she took Team 7 to the Hokage's private training ground. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I thought we were going to be tested together. Kushina shook her head. We will work together on some missions as our teams complement each other. But no, we are separate entities. Besides, you all know the bell test. While they don't, you'd give it away. When they got to the training ground, Kushina spoke again. I already have an idea of what the other two can do and what you told me yesterday. But I'd like to see it for myself. Then we will have a 3-on-1. Let's start off with taijutsu. Naruto nodded, getting into the fox-style stance. Kushina motioned for Naruto to attack first, so he charged in, swiping at his mother's side, which she prepared to block. But at the last second he pulled back his hand and lifted off the ground, aiming a kick at her head. She dogged this, pulling back. Keeping up the pressure, Naruto attacked with 3 spinning kicks. Kushina dodged the first 2 and caught the third one. She threw Naruto back. He landed on his feet and skidded back a bit. Kushina commanded, let's see how you are with a bow. Naruto opened a scroll and out popped his wooden staff. Instead of charging forward, he walked a few steps, twirled it a few times, positioning it behind his back, taking a defensive stance. Kushina charged Naruto, this time getting struck by his staff as he moved to the side. Naruto then circled around her, striking the back of her leg, causing her to fall. Kushina grinned, picking herself up. Ninjutsu time. Naruto jumped back, firing 4 air bullets, all of which hit his mom's chains she put up as a defense. He made 2 shadow clones who attacked up close. With 2 jabs she dispelled them as she got hit with a gale palm. Kushina summoned water from a scroll and fired a water dragon from it. Naruto barely dodged. Oops, I guess I got too into the fight, hee. Kushina giggled. Akira, can you fix the damage here while I let Naruto take a breather? Performing the seal of reconciliation, the mother and son duo took a break. Akira fixed the area while the others watched on. Focusing her energy in her palm, she stuck out her hand. A thin circle formed in the air a few centimeters from her hand. Inside the circle formed an 8-pointed star made out of 2 squares. Shooting the energy out of the circle, it covered the training area in a white blanket. When it dissipated, the training grounds looked as it did before the match. She looked back at a shocked Naruto. Don't worry, Ya's mother already knew about mana and the kiddies were gonna learn eventually. Naruto nodded. How did mom know? His thoughts were cut short when his mother stood up. Now it's time for the 3 of you to fight me. Naruto was floored. He knew he was behind his siblings, but this was crazy. He just couldn't keep up with the battle. The battle started off simple enough. All 3 hid from Kushina. She started off blocking an attempted backstrike from Mito, and it all went to hell from there. Immediately after that, the fight started with Kushina and the 2 younger siblings in an all-out taijutsu brawl. Seeing 2 Jonin-level ninja fighting a cage-level opponent, Naruto could even know where to jump in. Seeing a lull in the action, he tried to snipe her with a wind bullet, but she blocked it with one of her chains easily. While she was distracted, Menma created a wind dragon she countered with a water dragon of her own. Adding ninjutsu to the battle only made it worse. Naruto soon just sat on the sidelines, maybe getting a pot shot in here or there, most of which were either dodged or blocked. Rumiko, still disguised as a cat, walked up to him. Don't worry Naruto, you'll get even stronger as them in time. In fact, I'm going to be training up to the next level starting tomorrow, in preparation of your yokai transformation. Also, I have some fox magic for you. This will be in secret, of course. Naruto isn't saying this to Rin and his family, but I'm not skipping that in this flashback. Naruto grinned quickly but calmed himself. Seeing as I'm completely outclassed and my snipes aren't working, I'm gonna sit the rest of this out. He called out. The 3 redheads stopped. Sorry, Naruto, we went a little overboard because we all are used to sparring like this. Kushina replied. They all had the decency to look as embarrassed as Naruto felt during that fight. You're at least at a Chunin level tough. So be proud of that. Naruto tried to push his luck. So can I get my vest now, or? You still need to take on some missions and get experience. Can we at least skip all the D ranks? All except for helping Rin. Oh. And Tora, if I had to catch that hellion of a cat, you'd do as well. Wait, you had to catch her too? How old is she? How can a cat live that long? Rin laughed. I had that question too. There is actually a mission to find out about how that cat lives so long, posted by the third himself. Naruto paused. What rank? Minato smirked. It's an open mission, you're welcome to try. It even has SS ranked pay. Kushina added. Our family does have that meeting with the daimyo soon. Naruto looked at his siblings with utmost seriousness. We are finding out about that damn cat. Chapter 12 of 5th of the Uchiha. Sasuke was playing shogi with his sister, on their front porch of their house. They were waiting for their brother to get back as he was out on a Nanbu mission. His father was sitting by his sister looking into the sun while his mother was reading a book next to him. They were waiting for Itachi to get home. He and his best friend Shisui were coming back from an Anbu mission. Sasuke smiled. His father was proud of his progress since joining Team 7. He wanted to brag about that to his older brother. He looked up at his game and saw a silhouette approaching. Itachi! He screamed in joy, getting ready to run towards his approaching brother when he noticed the scowl on his face. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, little brother. Please head inside, I need to talk to father about some private things," his brother cryptically said, poking his forehead. Well, look who's back," a voice rang out causing everyone to look up at the new person approaching. This person was Taiko Uchiha, the elder son of one of the Uchiha clan elders. "How's it been, Itachi 5? The man said, drawing out the name in a mocking fashion. Itachi's scowl worsened at this. A look in his eyes screamed betrayal and anger. "Leave now, Taiko," Itachi ordered, staring the 18-year-old man down. "I'm in no mood for your games." Sasuke looked back and forth at the two older Uchiha. He knew that Taiko and Itachi had bad blood. The former was jealous, being 1 year older than his brother but less acclaimed. "Oh, so mean. I just wanted to see how you were doing. You weren't around the compound, so you must have been on a mission." "I just got back from one yesterday," Taiko said, his voice smug and insolent. "Run into any trouble?" Hee. Itachi's eyes flared into the Sharingan. "I'd be quiet if I were you," he said, his voice a bitter calm. "Just what was going on?" Itachi then seemed to change subjects. "Where's your father's blade and mask?" "Oh ho? Are you accusing me of something, child?" Taiko sneered at the man only 1 year younger than him, his mood now sour. "They were reported stolen last month, didn't you know?" Sasuke's eyes widened. Taiko's father, Taiko Uchiha, was known for those two items. Like many in his clan, he was considered a prodigy in battle. Taiko was a kenjutsu expert, known as the serrated Uchiha for his custom serrated blade he used. It was serrated so it would leave unique cuts. He had a special Anbu mask he made after his service was up, a black crow mask. While he wasn't allowed to wear it on missions, he was proud of it and its personal meaning. Itachi's eyes narrowed. "Very well then. Come on, Sasuke, we are leaving," he said, obviously not satisfied with the response. Just then Taiko did the stupidest thing of his entire life. When Itachi was leaving, he called out from behind him, "You seem very stressed, Itachi-san. Why don't you talk to Shisugaki?" Sasuke's older brother jumped onto the other Uchiha, and started pounding his fists into the man. Fugaku had to pull Itachi off of him. "Itachi, stop. What are you doing?" the father asked. Itachi recomposed himself. "He's dead." Fugaku squinted. "No. Enough. I know Taiko instigated you, but this is over the line." Itachi was trembling in rage as he softly spoke. Only Fugaku and Sasuke could hear what he said. "Shisui is dead." Both father and son gasped at what Itachi said. "I'm sorry." Fugaku spoke. "Just head home for now. I'll deal with everything here." Itachi nodded and walked Sasuke and the rest of the family inside. Later that night, Fugaku and Mikado had a conversation with Itachi as we were coming home from the mission when we were ambushed by a ninja with a black crow mask and serrated blade. Fugaku squinted. He understood what that meant. He and 5 other masked individuals engaged us in battle. Itachi continued. 3 had attacked in a frontal assault and 2 sniped us with kunai and senbon from the trees. This was a planned attack. It happened just as we entered Hinokuni. They sniped our allies first, so we had to defend them, and had set up a barrier to interfere with our chakra. We could barely use it at all. Also, all the weapons had some sort of poison on it. Fugaku grunted. This was a wartime strategy used to defend against small but effective units with fast reflexes and even precognitive abilities. "I assume you told no one about this mission?" "I did not. However, 2 elders were in the same room with you as I explained that I would be gone for about 2 weeks, after the last council meeting I attended. Baru and Tika." Fugaku finished. Itachi nodded. "He's been acting more and more radical as of late, even though we are treated better now that Dance is gone. He still wants the coup, and has been trying to rally the Uchiha to either force me into it or to remove me. Not to mention he has the backing of a large minority of the clan." The Uchiha leader paused for a while. "I assume Minato knows of what happened on this mission?" Itachi nodded. "Set up a meeting with him as soon as possible." As soon as possible was 2 days later. In secret, Minato met with Fugaku and Itachi at night in the Uchiha compound. Itachi had told me what had happened since he had come back. "I'm sorry for your loss." The Hokage started. Lady Tsunade took a sample of the poison from Shisui's body. The poison was identified as one from Suna, created by Lady Chiyo during the war. The only ninja who were sent there were questioned. One confirmed that Taiko did indeed pay to acquire some poison. "This isn't enough for criminal prosecution, but I will launch a full investigation into the matter." It is intolerable that Leaf Ninja attack their own like this. He will be punished to the full extent of the law. Fugaku shook his head. That is what Tekka wants. He knows that despite the coup being put off the table, tensions are high enough that even a justified investigation into the clan would be enough to rile up the older and some of the younger Uchiha into wanting it again. He already has about 1/5 of the Uchiha backing him. Minato frowned. We already knew Tekka was conspiring against me. I was waiting for him to attack me directly. I was wanted to deal with this as a clan matter, but since he attacked non-Uchiha Anbu it's too late for that. Minato sighed. Tekka is using the tensions between the Uchiha and the village to keep us from moving against him. No one but he wants a war. As long as an agent of the village acts against him it will benefit him. And I bet if you confront him directly he will use that to try and oust you from the clan head spot. But that was before they attacked the Anbu squad. Now he's incriminated himself. Mikado spoke up. It was his mask and sword that killed Shisui. Once you get the proof it should be easy to catch him. Itachi frowned. He's using his son as a sacrificial pawn. Taiko was the one who attacked Shisui. I'll bet any investigation will only lead back to him. If Taiko is arrested Tekka can say any future actions taken against him are retribution for Taiko's behavior. If anyone takes him out without the rest of his faction he become a martyr for a bigger rebellion. Fugaku nodded. Using everyone's desire for peace to cripple them, while instigating a war, and using his own kid as a weapon. Bastard took more than a page out of Danzo's book. Minato looked grim. He's forcing us to act though. Attacking returning Anbu is a serious offense and can't be overlooked. But as long as the village does something the outcome will be unfavorable. So don't have the village act, Itachi stated. Everyone looked at him. If he's going to act like Danzo then we might have to as well. I know what his plan for the Uchiha was, have one of their own members eliminate the clan then go work as a spy for the newly formed criminal organization the Akatsuki, right? I'm willing to do that but only against Tekka's fraction. Minato narrowed his eyes. Firstly I would only do that if we have ample evidence of a coup. He didn't want to end up following Danzo's plans, even a little. Between what my father has already and what I could find if allowed to investigate his home I believe I could prove a conspiracy. If you do this then I'm going to have to mark you as a S-rank criminal at least until the entire organization is taken down. You know that, right? The Hokage sighed. Itachi looked directly at Minato and flared his Mangekyo Sharingan. I am aware and ready for the consequences. At that point Sasuke and Satsuki burst into the room. No Nii-san, you can't. Don't leave us. The boy said. What are you two doing up? Asked Fugaku. We were worried about Itachi and what happened with Shisui, Satsuki explained, so we wanted to listen in, and I'm glad we did because he's going to do something stupid. Itachi sighed. This needs to happen. I am going to investigate Tekka. We knew he would act against us soon but we thought he would have the honor to confront father directly. He does not. First it was an ambush against Shisui. What if he targets you two or your friends next? And we need to keep watch on dangerous elements like the Akatsuki. Satsuki bristled. I still don't like it. You don't have to. In fact it's good that you don't, but in this world you must be prepared to do what you must to defend what you love. Itachi said. Minato shook his head. Spoken like a true Kage. Alright, I don't like this but I'll allow you to investigate the Uchiha under Tekka and if you can find solid proof I'll go along with your plan. It took only 5 days for Itachi to come back with the evidence needed for Tekka's faction to be eliminated. Taiko had nothing in his house but had kept the mask and sword hidden in a storehouse used by him and his friends in a not-so-secret compartment along with a hit list of targets that were either related or important to Fugaku. Nothing there led back to Tekka, as expected. Searching the man's home found plans for an attack on the village itself, copies of guard positions and other classified information. Minato sighed. Sending young ninja full of potential off on near-suicidal missions was his least favorite part of the job. Are you sure you want to do this alone? He asked. Itachi nodded. A week before the planned attack on Tekka's group Fugaku showed Itachi his own Mangekyo. I'm sure you know of the downsides to this ability and how to rectify them as we are closely related. I'm sure it will work if we trade eyes. Think of this as a final gift from me. Itachi nodded. Thank you. Eventually the time came for the elimination came. Itachi cut down the rebellious Uchiha with brutal efficiency. Fugaku had the clan members that were not part of Tekka's group taken out of the compound so Itachi didn't need to hold back. A single cut was all that was needed for most members. They were blindsided by the attack and couldn't defend themselves. The ones that could were easily overpowered or trapped by Tsukuyomi. Itachi saved Tekka's house for last. He broke though the front door prepared for a fight. Itachi's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan blazed red in the darkness of the house. So everyone else is dead then. Taiko's bitter voice sneered. Do you feel good? Is Shisui avenged? With this he ran at Itachi sword in hand. With 3 swings of his own Taiko was disarmed and both his arms fell limply at his side. Itachi kicked the man and looked down at him, not while his killer and the man who ordered his death is still alive. Ha! And what comes after this? After me and my father die, then what? The Uchiha become lapdogs or slaves to the village? The boy on the floor spat. I'll tell you and your father after he come out of hiding. Itachi coolly said. He then stepped to the right to dodge an attack from the elder. Catching the man's arm as he turned, Itachi cut his leg and threw him on the floor next to his son. Catching them both in a Tsukuyomi illusion, in the illusion he told them what his vision for the clan after their deaths. The Uchiha clan will grow and prosper as the clan becomes more prevalent and they cut the barriers distancing themselves from the village down. They will become more powerful and respected than the Hyuga, as they were more in touch with the people, both civilian and shinobi. Sasuke will lead the Anbu forces, taking up my old role, after I retire, and Satsuki will become clan head leading the police force. Through that effort the clan will eliminate the prejudices against itself and fulfill its true potential. How naive, Taiko spat, tied to a pole as knives stuck in him from all sides. Tekka just looked up at the red sky. I hope for the clan's sake you can achieve your goals. And with that Itachi killed them both with black flames, leaving nothing of their bodies left. The days after the slaughter had been a haze for Satsuki Uchiha. She had followed her usual schedule in almost autopilot. Wake up. Eat. Train. Meet team. Train. Do a D rank or 2. Train with Team 7. Spar with Sasuke. Eat with family. Go to bed. It was all she could do to cope. Overnight everything had changed. 1/5 of her clan wanted to betray her family and take over the rest of the clan to try to take over the leaf. And now her big brother had been taken away from her, branded a traitor, while the real traitors were treated as martyrs to protect an unsteady peace. Satsuki wondered how many other traitors were left as heroes for a bullshit reason such as this. Satsuki was angry. She hated her brother's plan from day one. If he exposed the truth of what happened with the clan, then he wouldn't have had to do this. It didn't matter if Tekka tried to play the victim. If they had been proven as traitors, then everyone except the old farts on the Uchiha Council would accept it. She hated lying about what had happened, telling everyone that her brother was a traitor. He was saving the village, not taking his revenge too far. And she loathed what it did to her brother, Sasuke. He wouldn't speak to anyone anymore. He went through the same schedule as her, but he would not speak to anyone. It worried her. She woke up again. After getting ready for the day, she made breakfast for herself and her brother. They ate in silence once again. Soon they left the Uchiha compound to train. There where Team 11 met up before they got their missions was Naruto talking to Akira and some woman named Rumiko. As soon as they got closer, everyone but Naruto left. For some reason that made him scowl, until he saw who it was. What's that about? Training mostly. Also, Dad has a joint mission planned for our teams and another today. The blonde said, walking away. Satsuki just stared at the boy. Aside from him hiding things, this was something she didn't expect to happen. When the rest of her team got there, she asked her Cyclops of a sensei if he knew anything about what Naruto said. The man just smiled and told his team not to worry about it. Naruto's words were truthful. They did have a 3-team mission. The mail services had a major accident happen, injuring many postmen, and they needed a few ninja teams to run the mail as many of the mail service members were out. The good part was it gave the teams an easy C rank because it took all week and multiple teams had to do it. As the teams walked to the post office, Naruto and Hinata spared a glance at each other that lasted longer than it really should have. Satsuki frowned at that. But they didn't really interact other than that. In fact, Hinata talked to her for quite a while, thankfully not about the Uchiha slaughter as the villagers were calling it, but more about training in their dojutsu. Naruto seemed to try to have conversation with Sasuke about jutsu and other normal conversation pieces before giving up and asking Akamaru if Kiba was housebroken, yet much to the boy's aggravation. He asked Sakura about her friendship with Ino, chatted for a few minutes. He then went towards Shino and asked him about how the ninja bugs, as he called them, worked. After being given a short but logical and informative answer, he went back and talked to his sibling about swords and music. Satsuki wondered how energetic that boy could be as he circled around to her. He asked her about training and if she learned any new jutsu recently. She gave a non-committal answer. Naruto then buzzed over to Hinata and asked her if she was keeping up on Akira's teachings. Okay, that's enough, Naruto. Kurenai interrupted. We're not even at the post office yet and you've had a conversation with all your teammates. Give them some time to breath. The blonde pouted but shut up. Ah, Kushina said, but then went quiet with a wistful smile on her face. The group all walked in silence until they got to the post office. Good. You guys are here. We are running late with our deliveries. The bags deliver the letters to the right house and go. That was all the man at the post office said. Each team grabbed a bag and went on their route. Naruto and Sasuke grabbed the same bag and locked eyes for a moment. It almost didn't seem right though. Naruto only reached for the bag after Sasuke went for it and released it too easily. Only Satsuki and the adults seemed to notice though. Naruto was planning something and it involved Sasuke and maybe herself. The mail route was easy enough as a job. Sakura memorized the route list before they went and they delivered the mail pretty quickly. Kakashi lagged behind them as they delivered the mail. Sasuke and Satsuki both practiced using their Sharingan as they delivered the mail, having awakened it during Itachi's declaration before the slaughter. When all the teams finished delivering the mail they met up back at the post office. Since the mission lasted all week they didn't have to report till it ended. Satsuki again noticed Naruto and Hinata sharing a glance. "Sasuke, fight me." Satsuki, if you don't mind, I request a fight," the duo said. Everyone paused. "You could cut the tension in the air with a knife." Satsuki spoke first. "We're not in the mood for a spa. We didn't say spar, we said a fight." Naruto interrupted. "No killing, no maiming, no broken bones, but other than that, no holds barred." For the first time since the slaughter Sasuke made a noise. He chuckled. No, he laughed. Hard. "Fine, we accept." Satsuki sighed, but she had to admit she both wanted and needed this as well. Finally coming out of her stunned silence, Sakura shouted, "Naruto, Hinata, what are you doing? They are grieving. Stop antagonizing them." "It's fine, Sakura," Satsuki responded. "I want to do this too." Sakura just shook her head. "Akira and Rumiko will mediate to make sure we don't go too far. This will be 2 separate one-on-ones." Naruto spoke. The twins nodded. He looked back at the rest of the group. "This is a private matter, I hope you understand." With that the 5 of them left. "Grr, that Naruto, what is he thinking? Those 2 have been upset all last week, why would he do this?" "That's exactly why he did it," her masked sensei said. "They're holding everything in. Satsuki has been in a stupor and Sasuke hasn't talked since the slaughter. This is a way for those 2 to let their emotions out. He planned this. If the post office mission wasn't up then Naruto would have had a group training take place." "Yay, but do you think those 2 would just talk everything out? Just open up and tell everyone what's wrong and have a big group hug and a cry?" Menma curtly asked. Sakura blushed and looked down. She was actually planning a group get-together just for that. The redhead rolled his eyes. That wouldn't work. For too many reasons to list. Naruto was pretty smart about this too. If they can't and won't process their grief through words, he going to let them do it through their fists. Using a jonin like Kakashi or Mom won't work because of the difference in power and rank. They want go all out and really unleash their emotions, and they know me and Mito are at a jonin level, so we couldn't do it. Smart kid. Sakura paused for a minute and sighed. "I guess." Mito patted her back. "Come on, while that's going on, why don't you and me work on water walking?" Naruto led the group to the abandoned training grounds. There Rumiko was waiting with a hungry look in her eyes. "So 4 little kids have come to play and it's my job to make sure you don't get hurt. Do I get paid for this?" Satsuki shot her a look. She really wasn't in the mood for jokes. "Anything's on the table?" Everyone nodded. "Alright, I'm guessing we'll do this the traditional way. All 4 of us will make the sign of conflict, then the proctors will start the matches." Everyone nodded again. And just like Satsuki said, after the 4 made the sign of conflict, the fight was officiated. "Begin." The 2 yokai yelled in unison. With that the 4 contestants ran at each other and began fighting. Even without her Byakugan active, Hinata was pushing Satsuki in combat. Both girls had yet to land a clean hit on the other. Satsuki threw a roundhouse to Hinata's head. The white-eyed girl ducked underneath her opponent's leg, then sprang up aiming a palm strike at her stomach. Finishing the kick, Satsuki quickly jumped to the side. Close combat isn't going to work. Hinata is a Hyuga after all. She thought the Uchiha flipped back, throwing shuriken at the Hyuga. Said girl used her own shuriken to knock the projectiles out of the air. She then dashed forward to where Satsuki landed. Quickly going through hand signs, the Uchiha girl shot a flame bullet at the Hyuga, causing her to leap out of the way. Keeping up on the offensive, she shot out 2 more. The last one dispersed when Hinata cut the bullet with a mana knife on her hand. "I forgot you trained with Naruto and Akira. You are no ordinary Hyuga," Satsuki said, activating her Sharingan. "It would be unwise to assume that." Hinata said, activating her Byakugan. Satsuki stared at the young girl's eyes. There always was a shade of violet underneath Hinata's signature white Hyuga eyes, but never when she activated her dojutsu. They always turned full white. But right now her eyes had a very faded but still noticeable shade of purple to them. "I see you noticed. I have with Akira-sensei and Rumiko-sensei been training to evolve my dojutsu. Right now they have not improved much. The only addition I have in regards to a regular Byakugan is I am able to see others' chakra natures and affinity. Yours and your brothers are both fire and lightning, if you were wondering." HN Satsuki responded before firing a phoenix flower jutsu at Hinata. The girl cut through the fire before launching the mana knife off her hand. Satsuki dodged the knife before landing a punch to the other girl's head. She threw another one that was blocked and had the wind knocked out of her by a palm to the stomach. Satsuki grabbed her arms and head-butted her. As Hinata stepped back, Satsuki let go of her arms, letting her tumble onto her back. Hinata flipped back up and blocked a flurry of blows from her friend, ending in a kick sending her skidding away and a fireball for good measure. Hinata cut through the fireball only to be met with Satsuki's fist shortly after. Using her other arm, she caught the attack, bringing the fist to the side of the two girls, only to be hit with an uppercut. Hinata staggered back and released her mana knife she had and let go of Satsuki's hand. In response, she slammed her palm into Satsuki's stomach, firing a weak mana pulse into it. The young Uchiha flew about a foot's length and fell on her side. She got up and engaged Hinata again, running at her with a punch. Hinata did the same with a palm strike. The two ninja hit each other in the face, knocking each other down. Panting and bruised, both girls stood up. Satsuki sighed, "I think that's enough. I'm done for now." Hinata nodded. The two girls looked over to see the boys had finished their fight as well. Satsuki chuckled. "You two feel better now?" Naruto asked. The Uchiha twins nodded. "Good." The blonde boy fell into a sitting position on the ground and smirked. "If you ever need us to kick your asses again, just call." "Shut up." Sasuke shot back, rotating his arm. "Man, I really needed that. Especially after." He trailed off. "I figured." Naruto nodded. "I don't know exactly what went on that night, but between how my family and the Sannin are acting, it wasn't a simple case of Itachi snapping and getting a little too revenge happy." The twins bristled at that. "You don't have to tell me. I have secrets of my own." They relaxed. "I just wanted to help my teammates." Bio. Naruto sighed and looked at Akira and Rumiko. "I think we can trust these two with some of her own secret though, huh?" The two yokai nodded. "What was the blonde boy talking about?" "Listen you guys." From there Naruto explained about the yokai, how they trained him, about mana. While he did that, Akira and Rumiko reverted to their true forms to prove his tale. The Uchiha twins agreed to release a yokai each. Sasuke released the vampire knight Isaac, while Satsuki released the Tengu Tanjiro. Both wanted to learn from the prospective yokai teachers. Isaac looked not dissimilar to a relative of Kurenai. He was tall, pale skin, red eyes, long flowing black hair that reached halfway down his back. His most dangerous feature though were his shiny white fangs he hid in his mouth. He had a somewhat feminine face and a slender build, but exuded a noble aura and strength. He wore a sleek black set of plate armor decorated with the Binaru clan symbol. On his side was a long sword that was well taken care of. Tanjiro looked the same age as Akira, but more stern. His skin was red and rough-tempered though many battles. He had the eyes of an ancient warrior, which he was, with deep yellow sclera and black pupils. Above his eyes were thick white eyebrows that matched his hair, which was pulled back into a ponytail. The one feature everyone noticed first though was his elongated nose, common of the Tengu. He wore the getup of a Shinshaku, a Shindo priest. On his waist were fashioned two katanas. Both yokai agreed to teach the children, following the group back to the village. Both twins agreed to tell Naruto and the rest of the graduate elite, since they're not in the academy anymore, the truth about the slaughter. Sasuke and Satsuki looked at the sunset, both thinking, just wait, Itachi will be coming for you. "Are you sure about this, Naruto? Letting those two in on this?" Hinata asked. The boy nodded. "They've proven they can keep secrets. This is a sign of trust between us. Besides, from what I have been able to snoop on, Itachi joined a group full of shinobi like Orochimaru. Whether they want to kill him or bring him home, they'll need the help getting strong enough." With that, Naruto pulled out a storage scroll and unsealed a small vial with a red liquid. Drinking the whole thing, he looked back at the temple. "Also, we need to free all these guys." He stayed behind with Rumiko as the others went back to the village. Hinata was having a most unpleasant morning. Considering she was stuck in a room with the most pompous main branch family members, the council, who were trying and failing to intimidate her with stone-hard stares, that was no surprise. Add into the mix while the clan head, her father, looked at her with concern that should have been there years ago, and her grandfather, who looked at her as a disappointment, and you have where Hinata is now. "Lady Hinata, do you know why you are being called before our most honorable council today?" one council member asked. Hinata decided you wanted to show off your male pattern baldness? Was not an acceptable answer, so she went with "I was not informed, honorable counselor." "I see. Can you think of a reason, any reason why?" "To waste everybody's time with unnecessary pontification and showboating while you lash at the perceived weakest Hyuga?" "No, too aggressive, it's correct, but too aggressive. Honestly, I cannot, honorable counselor." "Well then, you may be interested to hear that your father had a run-in with the Yamanaka clan head, the other day." "Oh no." "He said that his daughter and her pink-haired friend had a chat. Oh no. And that she said you challenged the new Uchiha heiress to a fight. The council members sneered. You are lucky that the Yamanaka clan head had the good sense to shut down those rumors, before they got out of hand. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Hinata was going to kill Sakura. She was going to kill her painfully and slowly. Sakura, the pink-haired friend you mention, is a civilian-born and raised child who doesn't understand what she implied with her words nor the ramifications of such implications. Hinata started carefully and with a perfectly neutral voice. I did not issue any formal challenge of a duel to the Uchiha. I would not in their state of duress. She inhaled. I did tell my father how we had a bout earlier and he said that there was no issue with what I had done. Watch your tone. Another counselor yelled. It is because of the Uchiha's state of duress that this is so serious. This misunderstanding hurt our clan's standing more than the leaks did. And there it was, the clan's standing, because above everything else, our clan has to be at the top of the village. Hinata suppressed an eye roll as her father began to speak. I am sure our standing will not suffer because of an after-mission spar, honorable counselor. However, Hinata, I would like you to go through the events of your match with the Uchiha and those leading up to the bout as you put it. Of course, father, Hinata began. It all started when Naruto asked me to help him, as he is on a sister team with the Uchiha twins. Worried about their recent depression, he asked his father for a group mission where both he and I could after its completion allow the Uchiha vent their frustrations through combat. I see, Hiyashi said. If the Hokage knew about this then there should not be too much of a problem. Can you recount the events of the spar itself now? Hinata did, leaving out her advanced Byakugan. She didn't want to tell about that until she completed it. It seems all is in order then. Is everyone here satisfied? Most counselors and even the elder could not find fault with how Hinata acted, so they quietly nodded. However, one counselor decided to speak on an issue both Hinata and her father would have rather he did not. I am satisfied with Hinata's actions in regards to this issue. However, there is a new problem with her stunning growth in the recent months. Before there was no doubt about who was going to be clan heir, but now it is called into doubt whether her or Hanabi should be the Hyuga heir. Both father and daughter tensed. Hinata couldn't tell if this man was breaking decorum because of a rigid sense of tradition, if he wanted to put her back in the air spot, or forcefully keep her out of it. It wasn't a very well-kept secret that she loathed some of the more brutal and selfish traditions. I would agree, but her disposition is still much too weak to represent or lead the clan. Another counselor said. Kindness is not weakness, Hinata thought sharply. Still, her strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Her mannerisms will too. And if not, a few months with a personal tutor shall fix her up. I don't agree with your assessment. What if? Hinata zoned out as the conversation was going to go nowhere. She wanted to save her sister, but she also wanted to save herself. Not long ago she would have accepted being branded, disowned, or any other bad thing that happened to her. She was too weak to stop it anyway. But her time training with Naruto, Akira, and Rumiko changed her. She wasn't going to let anyone control her fate or harm her sister. Hinata thought of what she could do to save both her and her sister. A few minutes of the council going in circles and still nothing concluded. She didn't have any knowledge of any laws that could allow her to save her and her sister, or leverage over the clan except that. Hinata looked up. Her father was getting restless. She sighed. She didn't want to reveal this just yet as it was incomplete, but she had no other bargaining chips. Channeling mana to her eyes, Hinata fired a pulse of mana and activated her advanced Byakugan. Enough. The pulse of mana hit the council like a light push from a child, but was still enough to shock them and draw attention to Hinata. Do not interrupt Hin. What happened to your Byakugan? A Hyuga counselor exclaimed, looking at the purple tint glowing behind her eyes. Hinata looked unflinching at the man. Fire and earth. What? Your nature types? Fire and earth. Hinata pointed at the other Hyuga counselors. Fire and water, water and earth, earth alone, fire alone and another fire alone. Hinata pointed at her father. Fire, water, earth and yang. That her grandfather fire and both yin and yang. She's right. A counselor spoke. Everyone nodded. How did you do that? Another one asked. Hinata relaxed a bit. Through my training with Naruto and his teachers, I had discovered a way to evolve the Byakugan. One of the abilities I gained was the ability to see chakra natures. One? You have discovered more? Her father was stunned. Hinata nodded. May I demonstrate? After her father nodded, she smiled. Because of Lord Hokage's chakra suppression seals, I cannot detect their chakra, but she threw training kunai at the spots above the counselors. All deflected as hidden Hyuga guards came down. I am able to see them with my newly acquired ability to see infrared and therefore, body heat. I can also see ultraviolet, but I have to switch between the two. I cannot see them both at the same time. Hiyashi, more so than the rest of the council, was stunned. Who knew his daughter would be able to do all this? The one he looked down on. He had one question. Why did you not tell me of this sooner? Because it's not complete yet. Once I am done I will have no problem teaching some of my contemporaries and the younger generation how to achieve this." Hinata responded, "But in order to do so I have two terms. 1. Neither me nor Hanabi get the caged seal. I have no desire to lead the clan, but I also have no desire to be put under that." The council agreed. It was a small price to pay for more power. 2. I choose who I teach, no matter what anyone says. If I think someone is going to misuse these new abilities, or if they are disrespectful to me, or for any other reason, I will not teach them. Again the council agreed, but demanded that Hinata at least attempt to teach their children. She agreed, albeit bitterly. Hinata sighed. Right now she sacrificed one of her biggest bargaining chips earlier than she ever wanted. Glancing to the side she slowly smiled, recognizing the energy of one eavesdropper. "Yes Hanabi, you will be my first student." That's the end guys. If you enjoyed then make sure to leave a comment. This is Chaos Shinobi signing off.